17 programs this year. All that, and I don't know what the new shows are nowadays. I guess I don't watch Young Sheldon, Bob Hart's Abishola, The
NCIS.
Simpsons, all of them. Law and Order Special Victims Unit, Law and Order Criminal Justice,
Bung Bung.
Law and Order, whatever. Guess what? Hey, Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel. Guess what the top 17 rated programs are in America right now?
Football games.
What kind of football?
NFL.
Bingo. The top 17 programs this year. NFL, 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 all the way to 17. So the NFL is
What's
treated,
18?
I don't know.
Young Sheldon.
Is the Big Bang Theory still on? Probably that.
Probably.
So the NFL is the most popular sport in America. And we know that. There's nothing new. I'm not telling you that you don't know. But the way people feel about the NFL this time of year, it's my favorite. Jacksonville is awesome this year. Maybe. Last week, people were wondering if the New York Giants were back and if Daniel Jones was the dude. They lose one game in which in the fourth quarter his knee explodes on the turf, and it's like, Daniel Jones stinks, Giants stink, time to move on, it's over. That's the way it is. And I love it because every year, every team either starts out, every year there's a team that starts out really hot and then they fade. And then there's a team that starts the year, 2-4, like the 2019 Tennessee Titans, and they end up in the AFC Championship game. It happens every year. Nobody thought after 3 weeks last year that the Cincinnati Bengals were going to the Super Bowl. Nobody. And so I take a look at the Titans. They're 1-2. I think we can all agree that the Titans are not a very good football team right now. Is that fair?
I think that's fair.
Ian?
I'm sorry, I missed it.
Are the Titans a good football team, yes or no? Right now.
I'm not convinced they are very good yet, no.
Okay. And I would agree. But that doesn't mean for everybody out there that the Titans, stay with me here, can get better. Now, 0-3 is 0-3. Like, I'm sorry, Raiders. I'm sorry, Texans, who are 0-2-1. But 0-3 is 0-3. 0-3 is, for the most part, a death sentence. Hate to say it for the Raiders, but it pretty much is. And if it were 0-3, then you would have heard the mourner's Kaddish for the Tennessee Titans after that Raiders performance. But it's not. They're 1-2. And I was looking it up today. Mike Vrabel has been the coach of the Titans for 4 full seasons. This is his 5th. He's made the playoffs 3 years. He started 2-1 in 2018, didn't make the playoffs. He started 3-0 in 2020. They made the playoffs, lost in the wild card round. He started 2-1 last year, number 1 seed in the AFC. The only year that Mike Vrabel has started 1-2 other than this year was 2019. That team was a mess. And they ended up in the AFC Championship game. So to say that the Titans can't get better, the Titans have a lot of problems right now. The Titans' offensive line, kind of a question mark. The Titans have not had one receiver that has asserted himself as a trustable, dependable guy. They're getting almost nothing out of the tight end game other than Jeff Swaim, which is another problem in and of itself. They struggle rushing the passer. Right now they're having coverage issues, which I blame on the struggling of rushing the passer. And their middle linebackers aren't tackling very well. Also, their kicker missed a game-winning kick. Other than that, it's all great. But can they get better? So let's go around the room. Can the Titans, do you believe in the Titans, a team that has traditionally under this coach gotten better as the season has gone on? Do you believe that this football team can get better? Do they have the players to get better? Do they have the coaching to get better? Do we think the Titans, just like they did in 2019 when they got better, do you think that the Titans can get better this year?
Absolutely. I think there's plenty of young players on this team that can get better week after week after week. And I think that this is a coaching staff that's equipped to make this a better team throughout the season. Now, I'm not saying that they are absolutely positively going to get better, but I absolutely think that that's a possibility.
Ian, do you think this team is going to get better throughout the course of this year?
I do probably think they will get better, yeah. I just, the ceiling has gone down, in my opinion, just based on the players that they've lost, mostly Landry and Lawan. And so without those players, their ceiling is going to be limited. Even if they do get better, I still don't think it's going to be good enough to really make a huge impact in the AFC playoffs.
So this is going to sound crazy. I don't really care that much about Lawan. And you guys have seen me when Harold Landry got hurt, I cried like a baby on this radio program. And you guys know me. If there's something that happens, I try to kind of keep it real. And Taylor Lewan, I think he was playing below average left tackle last season. And I think that Dennis Daly is going to play a worse left tackle, but not the end of the world left tackle. I think it'll be fine. Won't be great, but I think it'll be fine. I mean, Lewan played one game, and people were ripping him for his performance in the one game that he played. It was fine. Dennis Daly, I think, will probably be fine.
I think this team is also pretty used to coping without Taylor Lewan.
Right. Somebody's going to get hurt on probably every team. One of the impact players is going to get hurt one way or another. I'm conflicted. I do think they will get better. Nicholas Petit-Ferrer is already getting better. I mean, he still had that penalty the other day where he ran 10 yards up the field for whatever reason, but he's getting better. And I think that what was a big concern about could he play right tackle in the NFL, I'm not going to say that that's completely solved because they're doing a lot to try to help him out, but he's getting better, and he'll get better. I think Traylon Burks is getting better. And boy, do they need Traylon Burks to get better because they need Traylon Burks. I think Derrick Henry will be fine. I think Ryan Tannehill's playing well. The one thing that I have a hard time with about wondering, there's two things that are kind of keeping me from going there. One is the pass rush. I think what the Titans are going to have to do, what they did Sunday, and it worked, kind of, is they really smoke and mirrored it. And they're going to do that this week against the Colts. I don't know if Bud Dupree is going to play or not. I saw TD posted a video talking to Bud Dupree in the locker room, which makes me think that Bud Dupree might practice. We'll know when the practice report comes out. If Bud Dupree does practice, that's a big deal. But if they're going to try to move Autry outside this whole season, well, now you just took your 9-sack guy to replace your 12-sack guy, and you probably made your 9-sack guy worse at what he does, and you're taking your 8-sack, mamma-jamma, big old tackle in there, and you're probably making him worse because he's not next to Autry. So it's a lot of moving parts that I don't like. Pass rush is number one. Number two is the offensive coordinator. I mean, I'm not saying to fire the offensive coordinator, but I don't have a lot of confidence in this offensive coordinator, and I don't know why I should have a lot of confidence in this offensive coordinator. The offense didn't get better throughout the course of last year. They've started the season this year with just a lot of questionable stuff. And so I trust the head coach, and I think that they will drill it out and rep it out. And last week when every single person called and texted and cried about the offensive line, and I said, look, Keith Carter has 3 years in which we look at the offensive line in September and we always say, oh my goodness, this is a mess. What are they going to do? And every year, everybody comes back and points a finger at me in December and says, what do you think about Keith Carter now? So I'm not going to get on Keith Carter. But the offensive coordinator has not earned that level of trust with me. And I think it's fair. The offense has to make some adjustments. Whatever's going on at halftime for this team is an unmitigated disaster. The fact that this team goes in at halftime and comes out and can't score a point. I mean, it's awful. And I kind of think that they have good enough players on offense. They don't have A.J. Brown anymore, but Burks is good, Woods is good, Henry's good. Hilliard has a great role for him. I'm not convinced Hooper is as bad as they think he is. And they have good enough players to score a point in the second half.
But they've proved that they can be good in the first half.
So
they just can't continue it in the second half. And that's a completely different issue beyond, is this team good? Does this team have good personnel? Because they showed they can be good.
So I've got 1 year and 3 games worth of data on this coordinator. And I think it's fair to say the offense regressed throughout last season. And the offense is yet to make those kind of adjustments right now. So I have trust in the head coach. I have trust in the line coach. Even Shane Bowen, who, I guess was theoretically in charge of the defense in 2020 when they were horrendous, even he has shown the ability to adjust some. But pass rush and coordinator on offense are the two things that are keeping me from feeling confident in saying that this team will, in fact, improve. Because as I said last week, and I will contend this week, 2-2 is right on schedule. If they win against the Colts and they've got 2 AFC wins, including a divisional win at 2-2. I don't care what Jacksonville does against Philadelphia. Even if Jacksonville is 3-1, 2-2 is right on schedule. And then I think that a lot of us can feel, a lot better about the season than we did last week. But at the same time, I think a lot's riding on this coordinator. At least for me, my faith in this team, taking themselves from not a good team, which they are right now. They are not a good football team. And becoming a good football team rides a lot on whether or not they can figure out the pass rush and the coordinator can get it together on offense. Now, I'm not convinced that the Titans will score every drive like they were in the first half on Sunday against the Raiders, but I am convinced that they can move the ball down the field even without A.J. Brown, because they did it in the first half against the Giants, and they did it in the first half against the Raiders, and honestly, they did it in the first half against Buffalo. Like, it wasn't like the offense was completely inept against the Bills in the first half.
Especially that first drive. I mean,
First
they
drive,
were
second
moving
drive.
the ball so well.
They got the ball to the 30-yard line of Buffalo on the second drive, I believe, when Ben Jones got called for the face mask. Now, again, Buffalo's a different animal, but I don't think this offense, I don't think it's like A.J. Brown out, offense stinks, because they don't stink in the first half. So then the question has to be this, because I don't sense any pushback on the Downing element of this. Is Vrabel going to be able to get Downing to be a better coach, to where we can trust that the offense will improve, because the head coach, who has found a way to improve every year throughout the course of the year, will get the offensive coach to improve?
And that's assuming that the second half problems, issues are on Todd Downing. Because I don't think it's exclusively a play calling problem.
You don't?
No.
See, I do.
Only play calling?
Yeah.
I think it's a coaching staff problem, and play calling is involved in that, but I don't think I can solely look at play calling and say that's the reason why this team can go out there and look like a freaking Super Bowl caliber, and I'm exaggerating, in the first half, and then they get outscored so far in 3 games 57-7 in the second half.
I mean, what else would it be?
I don't know.
Like, what else would it be? The players don't get worse at halftime, do they?
And that's what I don't understand. You don't lose talent in 30 minutes at halftime. So is it, they're just uninspired at halftime? Do they feel like they can kick their legs up at halftime? And then in the fourth quarter, whenever the game gets close, they're like, oh, shoot, we need to get our stuff together? I don't know.
The Giants
and that's
game,
on the coaching staff.
But not Buffalo. Nobody was kicking feet up at Buffalo. And
against the Raiders, they did.
I don't think they did. I do not think that team went in the locker room, thought that Raider team sucks, we're going to win this game. I think they went in there against the Giants.
They certainly did it against the Giants. But why don't you think it against the Raiders?
Because I think they took the Raiders seriously. I mean, any team that's got Devontae Adams, I feel like I would take seriously. I thought the personnel groupings in the second half, I thought the coaching on offense was horrendous in the second half of that. I thought the coaching in general of the Titans was horrendous in the second half of that Raider game. Vrabel going for it here, not going for it there.
That was dumb.
Downing,
then that's not on Downing.
First play of the second half. Let's bring out the jumbo package. Bring out Torrey Carter. I thought it was a horribly coached second half. Let's go over it. Let's just look at it, because I got all the film, whatever, in front of me right here of these games. Because Tannehill said something interesting today about the second halves of games too. So we'll get to that coming up. But we'll look. Because that, to me, is the one thing. The offensive coaching. That's it. If the offensive coaching is actually good, like Vrabel pretends that it is or acts like it is, which I think we can all say that this Raider game has affected me as far as Todd Downing is concerned.
Yes, it has.
I mean, this was
I'm not
one
going to
for
say
me.
you've done a complete 180 on Downing, but you're moving there.
Oh, my. I'm sorry.
You did a 90 degrees on Downing.
I sat there at that game, and I thought, you fans are right. I've told you fans to calm down a little bit on this offensive coordinator. You fans are onto something here. 615-737-1025. We'll get your thoughts in it as well. Stillman and Company right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
2, 3, 4, High school football is here.
Join Big Joe Dubin every Friday night at 6 for the Apple Collision Center's Game Blitz, presented by National Playmakers Academy.
Just a small sample of these great coaches in our area.
We'll go around the mid-state for scores and reports on all the big games.
If I'm a high school coach, I want the challenge.
The Game Blitz is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Calling a criminal defense lawyer or a divorce lawyer, you may think it's the worst day of your life. It doesn't have to be. If you have quality, competent representation who can guide you through a complex system, we can do that for you. Despite if you've been arrested for a DUI or a robbery charge, whether or not you're going through a divorce or a post-divorce, or demanding your fundamental constitutional right to parent your children. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Attention sports fans, your favorite sportsbook BetUS.com is back for our 29th year of football action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite leagues, including NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. We've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest slots, and our live dealers are waiting for you at the tables. Sign up at BetUS.com or call 1-800-79-BET-US and get into the action. BetUS, where the game begins.
Here's another remarkable success story from QC Kinetics. This one from Chad, who hurt his knee at the gym one day, and it just kept on hurting for months.
From my high school football and wrestling days, I already had a little bit of damage in there, but this just sent it over the edge.
Chad tried traditional treatments with no improvement when he turned to the non-surgical regenerative treatments at QC Kinetics.
It was really fascinating how they did their work, and the science behind it was very intriguing, and it works. Extracting the cure out of my own body blew my mind. It's like I'm brand new again. It was fantastic.
That's because the QC Kinetics natural biologic treatments use your body's own healing power to restore damaged tissue in your hips, shoulders, back, and knees, providing long-lasting relief.
Now I'm back at the gym. I'm 100%, feeling great.
If you're tired of suffering with pain from arthritis or injury, call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024.
Hey everybody, Big Joe here for Apple Collision Centers. And you know I'm always on the go, but the distraction that an automobile accident causes could even slow my pace down to a stop. But my friend and CEO of Apple Collision Centers, Stan Harrison, has a plan to get you and I back on the road and fast.
We at Apple Collision Centers know you deserve the best quality service. We always recommend original equipment parts, and we use only the best Sherwin-Williams finishes. 3 convenient locations, Hendersonville, Gallatin, and Old Hickory. And you can always visit us online for your estimate needs at applecollisioncenters.com.
Never miss a moment of the show.
What is this? Check it out.
Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Ryan, got the strong start to the game on Sunday. What's the challenge now in carrying it through halftime and being more productive and staying on the field longer in the second half?
Yeah, no doubt. We got to come out and execute better in the second half. Like you said, we did some good things in the first half and really didn't do nearly as many good things in the second half. And it wasn't a drop-off in focus or urgency. I didn't feel like we just missed some opportunities on making some plays. So just have to clean those little things up and be able to come out and carry that momentum through halftime into the second half.
There you go. That was Tannehill today. And so, not that Tannehill was going to say, the problem is the coaches aren't making adjustments at halftime, and the other coaches are making adjustments at halftime. But Tannehill says just clean up a couple things here and there, and halftime will be fine. Do you agree with that?
I don't fully disagree with that.
So I pulled up my breakdowns of these second halves, where, third quarter. Here, I got the third quarter of the Bills game in this hand. I got the third quarter of the Giants game in this hand, and I got the third quarter of the Raider game in this hand. Let's just go through my notes of the offensive plays, because for the most part, defense has been fine in the second half, right? They totally took a smoke break in the Giants game.
I don't know how much I can assess the Bills game.
I thought they gave the Raiders all they could on defense in that second half. The fact that the Raiders, with those players that they had on defense or on offense, only scored 22 points is an indictment of
and the fact that Devontae Adams had, 30-something yards?
An indictment of the Raiders. I don't care what scheme Vrabel was running. I mean, an indictment of what they were trying to do. So let's go to the third quarter. Let's say Bills. So the first series, the Titans go 3 and out. And in my notes, the first pass, Tannehill incomplete to Austin Hooper. And I wrote, got to be caught, not the play call there. The second one, Tannehill gained 17 yards. Good play call. They run Henry, they gain 4. They run Henry, they lose 1 because Nicholas Petit-Ferrer doesn't block his guy.
Oh, yeah. I have on my notes not Aaron Brewer. That was the wrong one. My bad.
So now the Titans are down 24-7 after they punt. And the Titans, bad throw by Tannehill. Brewer gets knocked on his butt. Tannehill gets hit. Now the game's starting to get out of hand in the Buffalo game. I'm not going to blame coaching for the second half of the Buffalo game as I look at this. Yeah, this wasn't coaching in that. So I'm not going to blame coaching for that one. Giants game, first series, third quarter. Titans go 3 and out, including the Derrick Henry direct snap, in which I write, this might be the stupidest play of the game because Tannehill was running. As we went over, if a quarterback stands in his spot in the Wildcat at receiver, he can't be hit. Mm-hmm. If a quarterback runs,
it's open season.
They can knock the quarterback, and I thought that was dumb. Second series on offense for the Titans was a 3 and out where they decided to hand the ball to Hilliard on first down and second down, and Tannehill threw incomplete on 3rd and 2 to Hilliard. I didn't write bad play call, but make of that what you will. The next series is a touchdown from Todd Downing. So didn't seem to be much of an issue there as they scored on the third series. And then they got into the fourth quarter. They muffed a punt, not coaching. They get in there, up. Here you go. The Okonkwo play on 3rd and 1.
Oh.
So that is coaching. So we got one series that's definitely coaching, another series that's definitely coaching, a series that's definitely not coaching, a series in which Dontrell Hilliard got carries instead of Derrick Henry, which might be coaching.
That's coaching.
Feels kind of like coaching. The muffed punt, which is coaching, but not that coach's coaching. That's special teams. Get on them, not on anything else.
Still coaching, but not Todd Downing.
And then the 2-minute drill where they moved it down the field, and then Vrabel, for whatever reason, decided that they wanted to set up a 47-yard kick with a kicker who's not guaranteed to hit from 45 plus. So that's coaching, but that's not Downing coaching. So I'd say, I don't know, C for Todd Downing in the second half of the Giants game. I mean, some of it he definitely screwed up on. Some of it he definitely didn't screw up on.
I mean, the Okonkwo play was pretty
bad.
Damning. Pretty
now,
bad.
The Raiders.
What was the Wildcat? Was in the first half or the second half?
Second half.
Second
that
half.
was the
So
first 3rd and 1 of the, yes.
I would say those were the 2 worst play calls of the season.
You think that was worse than the Titans at 1st and 10 at the 25-yard line last week, up 24-13 against the Raiders, running Derrick Henry up the middle for no gain with an offensive, with 5 eligible receivers that were Swaim, Kevin Rader, Cody Hollister, Torrey Carter, and Derrick Henry.
That's pretty bad, and the 4th and 4 is pretty bad too. Just going for it. The play call wasn't bad, but going for it was bad.
The Titans ran that whatever you want to call it play where they brought Hollister in the game, and Max Crosby didn't bite on it, whether it was a screen or a naked boot or whatever it was.
Right.
And Petit-Ferrer and Ben Jones ran 10 yards up the field. Thanks for putting Hollister out there. The Tannehill interception I thought was a bad call because it didn't give Tannehill a safety to throw the ball to, and you knew that team was going to come with pressure. The second offensive series, the Titans were in around the goal line, and they hit the big play to Hilliard. And after they hit the big play to Hilliard, that was where they went for it on 4th and 4. Here's what bothers me, though. Here's where I'm going to blame coaching. Because the 4th and 4 play was not necessarily a bad play.
The play was fine. It was the idea of going for it at 4th and 4 that made me angry.
Which is more of a Vrabel thing than
That's
it is
not a Downing thing.
But 3rd and 1 at the Vegas 41. Derrick Henry loses 3 yards. Here's who was in on that play. Hollister, Swaim, Okonkwo, Hooper, and Henry. The Raiders sold out for the run because of that group.
Because it was obvious.
There's not a single pass catcher outside of maybe Hooper that's out there. And so that 3rd and 1 play call, the fact that the Titans, for whatever reason, against Cincinnati, could not convert 3rd and 1s and 4th and 1s, against the Giants, could not convert 3rd and 1s, and against the Raiders, could not convert 3rd and 1s, you have to blame the coach. You have to blame the coach. So I'm putting that on Downing. So the first series on Downing, the second series on Downing. The third series, the Titans, At this point, I believe they're leading the game 24-13. So what's that, 11? So 11 with 9:22 to go. Tannehill. Okay, Byard intercepts the ball in the end zone. Tannehill incomplete. They run Derrick Henry to gain 2. It's 3rd and 8. They end up hitting Westbrook-Akina on a good, 15-yard gainer. 7:50 to go in the game. 1st and 10 at the Tennessee 37. In comes Hollister, Hooper, Swaim, Josh Gordon, and Henry.
And interestingly enough, how many yards did they gain on that play?
1 yard.
1.
1 whole yard. Bring out the jumbo package on 1st and 10 with 7 minutes to go in the game because we are definitely running it. 1 yard. Next play. Tannehill throws incomplete to Derrick Henry, and this is another screen. The Titans threw a screen early in the game. It worked. In the same series, the first series, they tried to throw another screen, at which point I wrote in my notes, the Raiders are on to the screen game. At this point, with 10-11 to go in the first quarter, I said they're on to the screen game. And in the fourth quarter, the Titans tried to throw 2 more, one which ended up in a Tannehill fumble, the other one which was the incompletion to Henry and a screen, and essentially stops the clock. The next play was the one where Austin Hooper ran 8 yards instead of 9 on 3rd and 9. Whose fault's that? I don't know.
Whoever's fault it was is dumb.
Okay, so now the Raiders get the ball back. Raiders kick a field goal, so now it's 24-16. Titans, 4-minute offense. 4-minute offense. They get the ball. Raiders have 2 timeouts in the 4-minute offense, and the Titans, with 3:29 to go, kill exactly 20 seconds off the clock before Stonehouse has to punt the ball. 20 seconds in the 4-minute offense. First play. 1st and 10, Tennessee 25. Hollister, Carter, Westbrook-Akine, Hooper, and Henry. Predictable.
Defense.
It's predictable.
We are running the ball.
Second play. The screen pass where we don't know who they were setting up the screen for. We think Swaim, in which Nick Westbrook-Akine recovers a fumble because he was assigned to Max Crosby. Dumb.
Why?
Now, they did run the ball up the middle for Dontrell Hilliard, and Nate Davis got called for holding, which stopped the clock. So this game was definitely coaching. So you got 3 games in the second half for why they can't. Yeah, that second half was absolutely coaching. And that's what we're talking about here, is why the second halves are such a nightmare offensively. The first game against the Giants offensively, kind of 50-50. Coaching, not coaching. The second game against the Bills, probably coaching didn't really have much to do with it. The third game against the Raiders, coaching was definitely a part of it, if not the number one culprit. And the predictability of running Cody Hollister and crew out there on obvious running situations, and the jumbo package with Torrey Carter, a fullback who can't block. And I understand one thing, which I don't like about the Titans, but I get it, which is apparently they don't care about practice. They're one of these organizations. They're the Joe Rexrode of organizations, where whatever happens in practice just doesn't count because it's practice. So they watch Torrey Carter.
Vrabel loves practice.
I don't think they do. So they watch Torrey Carter and they say, okay, this is our fullback. Well, I feel like it is well established now that Torrey Carter can't block. So what do they need to do? They need to stop playing Torrey Carter. They love Cody Hollister as a run blocker. So what do? They keep running Cody Hollister out there.
Even though he cannot run block.
They average, according to my stats from yesterday, they average with Derrick Henry 1.75 yards per carry when Hollister's in the game, and they average 6.25 when Hollister's out of the game with Derrick Henry against the Raiders. Well, but they just keep doing it. And that's when I talk about this team improving and getting better throughout the course of the year. Part of that is the things that they thought that they could do, they need to stop doing. Some of them they already have on defense. They decided we're not putting Weaver out there to rush the passer on every play because he can't do it. So we're going to rotate him in there, and we're going to play more Kevin Strong, and we're going to play more DeMarcus Walker, and we're going to move around Jeffrey Simmons, and we're going to play Autry outside, but we're not putting Weaver out there to play 90% of the snaps like we used to with Harold Landry. We're not putting Caleb Farley out there because he's no good. And then on offense, it's like, well, we're just going to keep running Hollister out there because you don't understand. And that's where I'm like, if this team's going to get better, it's taking those things out of it. It's improving the young guys that they have. Petit Ferrer, Burks, Westbrook-Akine, the tight ends. It's doing that, and then taking the guys who literally can't play and stopping this idea of let's leave Jeff Swain responsible for Chandler Jones on this play or leave him responsible for Von Miller on this play. Because I've tried that, and it doesn't work. 615-737-1025. I'm sure we got a lot of phones on this.
Yes, we do.
I'm sure. 615-737-1025 here on the program. We will get to those as well. And again, just if this team can improve and if the offensive coaching is there. And it's funny because I didn't really gripe too much about Downing after the Giants game. I mean, there were things I didn't like. I had his back after the Bills game. And, I mean, I'm pretty disappointed after the Raider game. And it's funny looking at the notes. It's like, the Bills game coaching, not really the Raiders game. I felt like coaching was a real problem. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to get in. Join Big Joe Dubin and Elijah Campbell this Friday for the Apple Collision Center's Game Blitz presented by National Playmakers Academy from 6 to midnight. They'll preview the big games, and then they'll take you through the night of high school football around the Mid-State. It's the Apple Collision Center's Game Blitz presented by National Playmakers Academy on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
This is Phil Tomasino, and this is Smashville.
Cousins put it in front of the score. Tomasino lofts it in. 2-0 Nashville.
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Hi guys, are you struggling with erectile dysfunction? Did you know that a major medical breakthrough is now available, and it isn't a pill? Today, Wednesday, September 28th, we're running a one-day special you won't want to miss out on. Hillside Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow. It's backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge. If you're ready to regain that spark in the bedroom, today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. Also, a gift that can produce rapid and powerful results in the bedroom. You're going to love that, guys, trust me. And today only, we're offering 6 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is unprecedented, worth hundreds of dollars. But call today and qualify totally free. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today. 615-576-5000.
Golfers, now in Edwin Watts Golf Shops, it's time to hit faster, longer, and straighter with Titleist. The new TSR drivers are designed to maximize distance and elevate your performance. Titleist TSR driver, pushing for perfection every day. Come into Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the new Titleist TSR drivers and get custom fit for free today. Can't make it in store? Visit us online at worldwidegolfshops.com. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee and family owned and operated since 1968.
Are you getting hit hard with higher costs and higher interest rates? Is your credit card rate going up every month? Hey, Willie Donick, how'd you like to wipe out those credit cards before the holidays? Call Loan Pronto. Your home equity can rescue you right now. Your home's value is still way up, and there's a ton of cash that you can get. Loan Pronto specializes in zero-cost cash-out home refis. Get tens of thousands in as little as 2 weeks. Pay off credit cards and consolidate everything into one super low payment. People who do this usually cut around $800 from their monthly budget. And even if your home mortgage rate goes up a little bit, it's offset by your credit card rate going to zero. When rates come back down, Loan Pronto will refinance you again for free. Call Loan Pronto. Do it now. You can even skip your next 2 house payments altogether. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
On the Thursday edition of Chase, Willie, and D-Mace, we are live at Bridgestone Arena at the Barrel House as the Predators take on the Lightning. Plus, silly underdog picks come up at noon, and we get you set for Titans Colts. Starts at 10, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
This is Greg McElroy, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
As you look back at the tape from the offensive standpoint, I'm very happy with what you saw in the first half, and then second half only had 4 possessions. What are some things you could clean up there to maybe to help moving forward?
Well, making sure we had the turnover, which was unfortunate. I think some of the gains and the runs that we had, in the first half, probably weren't there. For whether it's one guy here or pressure, but we had some opportunities. Felt like we we could have got the screen going again. We had success with that in the first half.
We thought we had some success with the screen, so we tried to run it 2 more times, and it didn't work.
And we did not find success.
And we did not find success. By the way, that cut, Ian, how long was the actual answer from Vrabel on that? Because he, at some point, just literally just starts rambling about everything.
With the question and answer is 1 minute and 53 seconds.
Whoa.
I mean, he just starts rambling about everything.
For a notorious non-rambler
Yes.
who likes to just say one succinct sentence and get on with it, shocking.
Do we have that full cut, the whole 1 minute and 53
Sure.
seconds?
Yeah.
I did promise your phones, and so I'll get right to them after this. I may stop this if it just here's some of the rambling.
As you look back at the tape from the offensive standpoint, very happy with what you saw in the first half, and then second half only had 4 possessions. What are some things you could clean up there to maybe to help moving forward?
Well, making sure we had the turnover, which
Blame
was
the quarterback first.
unfortunate. I think some of the gains and the runs that we had, in the first half
With Burks on the field,
probably
Hollister.
weren't there. For whether it's one guy here or pressure, but we had some opportunities. Felt like we could have got the screen going again. We had success with that in the first half. Wasn't able to get Nate out, for obvious reasons. If you watch, how they played him,
He
not allowing
basically
him to
said
get
on
to
the coaching
backer.
show, the TV show, that they
And
were
the
holding Nate
conversions.
Davis
We had some really
on
cool
defense, so that's why.
third down conversions in the first half, and weren't able to get it. 3rd and 1. We didn't get many people blocked on that one. And then just making sure that we're better in 4 minute there at the end. I thought the way that we finished the first half was 3 critical points. When you look at defensively getting a stop, stopping the clock, 20-yard return. Caleb Farley did a nice job of getting to the second level. Robert does what we ask every returner to do, is make the first guy miss. He did a fantastic job with that. 21 yards to midfield, 21 seconds, the 2 timeouts. Nick sitting down, catching a contested pass, Ryan being decisive with it, and then getting the extra yards that we needed, and Randy coming through with a big kick. So those were 3 critical points. I think we all just have to, make a few more plays offensively and defensively and in special teams in the second half there. We had opportunities in all 3 phases.
I mean, it was really just a rambling train of thought.
It sounds like to me he's just been sitting on that for so long, and he just needed an opportunity to get out every single thought.
He wanted to bitch.
Yeah.
That's what I think it was. And he wanted to talk about the end of the first half because he didn't want to be all negative. So he wanted to throw something positive
talk about
in
the
there.
interception.
But my goodness. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Michael is up first here on the program. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Michael.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I've noticed this in the Raiders game and the Giants game, but it feels like we got up 13-0 against the Giants and 24-10 against the Raiders. It almost feels like they're just coaching to not lose. And when you try to coach to not lose or play to not lose a game, you're more than likely not going to have the success you want unless you're just obviously the way better team like Buffalo was than we are. We're not a type of team that can just rely on the raw talent we have to just go out and, like you said before, kick our feet up and just let coast until the clock hits 00. But it feels like, I don't think it's the players specifically, but the coaches feels like they're coaching to not lose.
So I can't say that when they went for it on 4th and 4.
That's fair, but after that, they didn't go for it on 4th and 1.
I agree, and I thought that was ridiculous. Yeah. And I hear your point, and I appreciate your call. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that premise. I don't think that
coaching to not lose.
Right. I don't think that that's the way it feels. I've been a part of basketball teams where we're beating teams that are better than us, and we're looking at the clock, thinking hey,
let's just run it out.
Right. There are certain hockey games where if the Predators are up 3-1 with 5 minutes to go, I hate to say it, Juice, but you have to win now.
Yeah.
You are the goalie. You have to win. The end.
Hold on for 5 more minutes.
You got to win this game for them. Although normally instead of 3-1, it's really 2-1, and instead of 5 minutes, it's more like 15 minutes. But still,
and it's incredibly
you have to win them the hockey game. There are some of that. But again, the Raiders get the ball to start the second half. The Titans are up. What was the score at halftime? 24-3?
24-10.
Was it 24-10? You're probably
I think that's right.
Because they kicked the field goal. So it's 24-13. So the Raiders take off at half the clock, and they kick a field goal, so it's 24-13. Titans get the ball back in the third quarter. 8 minutes gone. And the Titans roll out the jumbo package. And it's like, guys, what happened to the first half play calling when Traylon Burks was out there and there was a mix of a bunch of guys and, you didn't know if they were going to run it or pass it. Instead, it's let's bring out Hollister. Hollister had, by my count, they ran the ball, by my count, Hollister had I want to say 10 offensive snaps. Let's count how many offensive snaps Hollister had in the second half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so that's 7 offensive snaps that Cody Hollister had. So about half. Mm-hmm. And then he had the 3 kneel downs or the 2 kneel downs or whatever. So that's 9. And I think he ended up playing a total of 14. So
9 of those 14 came in the second half.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stop doing that. Stop it. Put Burks out there. I was stunned. Traylon Burks had 1 catch on Sunday.
It felt like more. I don't know if it was because he dropped that 4th and 4 pass and that felt like he was getting involved in the game a little bit more. But what is it with the second half? Is that we feel comfortable enough to be able to try out different things?
Talking about Downing?
Yes.
This is my theory.
And
this is the same theory I have for why the Raiders lost the game on the 2-point conversion.
Uh-huh.
So the Raiders realized in the second half, just throw the ball at Mac Hollins on Terrence Mitchell. Get Mac Hollins singled up with Terrence Mitchell and throw the ball. And the Titans knew that's what they were doing, and they were the Titans were willing to live with that. The Titans decided that Devontae Adams and Darren Waller were not going to beat them. And so it was going to be Mac Hollins or one of these other guys who's the slot receiver? Keelan Cole. Mm-hmm. Him or Brandon Bolden or one of these guys, they're going to beat us. Not Waller, not Adams. So the Raiders realized that on the last drive, and they start throwing the ball to Mac Hollins. They get to the 2-point conversion. They run a play with Adams and Hollins bunched up to draw the safety coverage to then try to pop it over the top to Waller. Well, the Titans had defended that play all day. So, why? Because they practiced during the week. This is the 2-point conversion play we like. My guess is the Titans put in plays during the week that they like, and then they decide these are the plays we're going to run. And it's like, well, we haven't called these plays yet. Well, let's call them because we got them, so let's use them. And that does frustrate me. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Chris Sanders will get his thoughts on the Titans after they pull off their first win of the season and what he thinks about the Colts. Chris is always worried about everybody in the division. What is he thinking about the Colts? We'll get into that with Chris next. Speaking of Chris, play Silly Underdog Picks today. Pick 3 football underdog teams you think will win for a chance at great prizes. Play now at theGameNashville.com or the 1025 The Game app. Silly Underdog Picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket and Superbook Sports, voted the #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today.
185! Every team needs a quarterback. 185! Good! That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown!
Tim. ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
How that team is built, I think there's a lot to like about it.
Every Tuesday at noon, Tim with Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Presented by Red Spirits and Wine in Bellevue and BetUS.com on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. Forecast for today calling for upper 60s to low 70s after a crisp and cool start in the 40s. No rain in our forecast until Saturday into Sunday, and those rain chances are limited at best.
Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Football is back, and so are the deals at Electronic Express. Get tailgate ready with great deals on all of your favorite brands like Whirlpool, HP, Sony, iRobot, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. Computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture, mattresses, and more. Save up to 40% with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com and get free express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make football season happen.
This
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick, the type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera, and the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
Hey everyone, it's me, Michelle Knezovic. Join me Saturday at Lucky Duck Lounge in East Nashville for the SEC Game of the Week presented by bettinghero.com. They're going to help you enjoy your experience betting on mobile, and hey, they might even buy you a beer. Fun starts at 2:30 Saturday. Can't wait to see you all there.
In a world where human interaction seems to be reduced to chats and clicks and emails, where transactions are measured only by speed, where corporate policies overrule common sense, sometimes you just want to go old school. Welcome to Genesis Diamonds, a refreshing experience where personal relationships and authentic interaction are the norm, not the exception. At Genesis, you're here celebrating something awesome in your life, and we want to know all about it. We want to hear your story, listen to your requests, and be a meaningful part of whatever occasion this is. A proposal, an anniversary, a birthday, graduation, push gift, sweet 16. If it's important to you, it's important to us. So we don't care how long it takes. We're not paid on commission, and we're not beholden to some corporate rule book. We just want to help you get what you want to make it into a special memory. So take a break from modern shopping and go old school with us at Genesis. Let's start a real relationship that you can count on for life. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs.
Robbie Stanley.
To avoid non-contact injuries and not repeat last year.
Joe Rexroad.
Just wait until next year's national TV schedule comes out.
Robbie and Rexroad. Mornings from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Hey, be sure to join us for the pregame show from 9:30 to 11:30 prior to the Titans and the Colts on Sunday. The pregame show will be live at Twin Peaks out in the Cool Springs area. That's Twin Peaks and Cool Springs. Chris Sanders, Derek Mason, yours truly. The pregame show brought to you by TriStar Moving, Parman Tractor and Equipment, Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, and Superbook Sports, as well as Ounce of Hope Cannabis Company. And Chris Sanders always has an ounce of hope, and he joins us now on the program, former Titans receiver. Man? Chris Sanders is, of course, presented by Parman Energy. Now hiring fuel drivers. Visit ParmanEnergy.com. Chris, let's start with this.
Yes, sir.
How excited were you that the Titans, even though it was ugly, especially in the second half, found a way to win on Sunday against the Raiders?
I mean, you just said it perfectly. They found a way to win. It was kind of like two tales of two games because the first half they came out and dominated. Offense was great. Defense was swarming around. Guys making plays. We had a sighting of our number one wide receiver, Woods. He made some big plays over the middle. So I was excited, but then in the second half I got a little nervous because the Raiders shouldn't even actually been in the game. It ended up 24-22, but it shouldn't even been that close. So we got to do better by finishing out these games.
Chris, why is that? Because this isn't the first time that the offense has completely gone missing in the second half. They've got 7 points across 3 games in the second half. Something is not right for them to look the way they looked in the first half against the Raiders and then look this way against the and then look that way in the first half and then look the bad way in the second half.
Yeah, it was just more conservative. I mean, and I heard you say it on the radio a couple of days ago that it started to become predictable. When I say predictable, is the formations. When you got Burks and Woods running out, and then you have Hollister running out, we know that Hollister's not going to catch a pass, so they know when it's pass to run. Because if you look at it in the first quarter and the second quarter, they were mixing it up. I mean, they were throwing on first down. They kept, the Raiders off balance. They didn't know what was going on because of the formations and, quick passes to Henry, the screens, and all those great things. But then in the second half, and I say this respectfully, that they just kind of got away from it and just kind of like, okay, we're in the lead. Let's just sit on it and just relax. And that's why the Raiders had a chance to get back in this game.
Chris, what do you think this team needs more out of Treylon Burks, and what does Treylon Burks need from the team?
Man, there's pros and cons about this team because as a receiver, you want to be put in position to actually make plays and actually get the ball early. But on the flip side of that too is, I think that Treylon Burks has got to create separation. I know earlier he caught one in the game. He caught 1 for 13, and I'm like, okay, he caught the ball early. We need to get him involved even more. but then all of a sudden he's very, very excited the whole game. So I don't really know actually what's going on. Is it the attempts he's not getting? He's not getting open. He's making the wrong reads. He's got to be involved in this game because if you look at the Raiders, he was matched up man-to-man quite a bit. And if I'm Ryan Tanning, if I'm Todd Downing, and I'm Mike Vrabel, and I see this big joker on the outside from Arkansas, he should be able to go out there and make some big plays because that's why we drafted him.
So you said earlier, Chris Sanders is our guest here on the program. You said earlier that you think Robert Woods is the number one wide receiver of the Titans. Why?
Absolutely, because he's a veteran. He knows exactly what to do, and he understands the technique. And as a receiver, I want to be respectful because I don't like to put down a receiver, but I'm going to tell him this. But the thing that Traylon Burks struggles with is, I think, at the line of scrimmage. He's a big guy, and his feet are not as quick, and it's kind of hard for him to change directions. If you look at Robert Woods, even with him coming off the knee injury, he still knows how to get the defensive back off the spot. When I say get the defensive back off the spot, that means to make him move his feet because I'm quick at the line of scrimmage. So if Traylon Burks can't do that and he goes against a big corner that's strong and physical like he is, he's going to struggle because he can't move his feet quick like a Robert Woods can.
Chris Sanders is with us. What are your thoughts on the Colts this weekend?
Woo! I don't know. It all depends on which quarterback plays the best. It's going to boil down to those two.
Okay, so I'm going to cut you off here and tell you this. I've watched the Colts play 3 games. I've watched the Titans play 3 games. If it comes down to who's playing better quarterback right now, to me it's Tannehill, and I don't even think it's really all that close.
100%. Tannehill last game played outstanding, and I'm glad you cut me off because Tannehill's been playing fantastic, especially the last game by just sitting in the pocket making plays. But the only thing that I'm concerned about that Matt Ryan says, you know what, we beat Kansas City. That gives me a little confidence. Now I can go out there and play some ball. So it all depends on which quarterback makes the least amount of mistakes and also which defense doesn't give up the explosive plays.
Chris, what do you make of playing on the road in a divisional game? I am not convinced that Indy right now is a good football team.
Yeah.
But they know how big this game is.
Yeah.
We know how big this game
Absolutely.
is. You've played in these kind of games. How big is it, and kind of what are some of the difficulties for the Titans going to Indy?
Man, it's huge. It's a divisional game, and everybody knows to go to the playoffs, you've got to win the division. So whenever a team wins, that's just a step closer to where they want to be. But just imagine going into a hostile environment, going into the coast, and I looked on the internet and I looked on Instagram. They're ready for the Titans to come in there. But what the Tennessee Titans have to do is they have to ignore the noise. They got to play their game. They got to come out and punch Indianapolis in the mouth because you better believe when you got Jeffrey Simmons, you got Quentin Nelson, that plays for the Indianapolis Colts, it's going to be a freaking dogfight. So when you have a dogfight like that and you jump out on them cats early, you take the crowd of it, then now you can do what you're supposed to do and go in there and win this ball game.
Chris, how concerned are you right now with the fact that Terrence Mitchell, who they signed on Wednesday, was out there against Mac Hollins of the Raiders, and that Caleb Farley had a really hard time seeing the field on Sunday?
That's tough, man, because you drafted Caleb Farley to come in here and be a shutdown corner, and you have a guy that they just brought in, and he's playing, and Caleb Farley is sitting on the sidelines. If I'm his coach, I think his defensive back coach is Mitchell, I would pull him to the side and say, you know what? Instead of, being critical towards him and say, you're not doing your job, right now this dude needs some confidence. And the way you build up confidence is the words that you say to this cat. If you say, man, you're sorry and, you're not doing your job, if this guy gets some confidence, if this guy can say, you know what, even though I haven't played well, I got to figure this thing out, then he can turn this around. And just kind of give an example, maybe about 4 years ago, I can't remember, when Derrick Henry was playing terrible, Eddie George came to him and said, listen, you're too big, you're too physical, you're too strong to be running that soft. So I think if somebody, a well-known corner, I don't know, maybe I'll say like a Chris Dishman or somebody comes in and sits him down and says, man, you're too big, you're too physical, you're too strong and too fast to be playing like that. So sometimes you need that extra boost. But right now, it is disheartening to see a number 1 draft pick sitting on the sideline and somebody comes in playing your position.
Yeah. Chris, what do you make of the way Derrick Henry ran against the Raiders, and what do you think that means for the offensive line and for Henry going forward?
Oh, my gosh. To watch him run this week, he was running like he was mad at everybody. He ran with the edge, and, if you kind of look at early, the first couple of runs that he had, those cats didn't want to tackle him because what he did the weeks before, he was kind of, stopping his feet and, going side to side. It was none of that. He was running through somebody's lips. So when you have Derrick Henry running like that, it opens up so many things. And one thing that it opens up is the play action. We kind of saw that when they, had the running game going well early. That's why Woods was catching those balls over the middle and catching those long passes is because of the play action. And then another thing that is going to help is those receivers are going to start to get one-on-one on the outside. They're going to put 7 and 8 in the box and man-to-man outside, and those guys have to make plays. So when you have the running game and they're doing well, then it just opens up everything. It's kind of like when we were young, we used to say this little saying, KISS. That means keep it simple, stupid. All the Tennessee Titans have to do is keep it simple. I'm not calling them stupid, but I'm just saying keep it simple. Run the ball, play action, and let those guys make plays on the perimeter.
So Chris Sanders called me this weekend. He wants to brag on calling Jacksonville this season. I have no recollection of Chris Sanders saying that Jacksonville was going to be the team to beat in the division this year, but apparently Chris is claiming Jacksonville.
Okay, you remember when I said that? It was
No.
me with TD.
I do not remember it.
That is unbelievable. I thought we were friends.
TD will be on tomorrow. We can ask TD if he remembers you saying watch out for Jacksonville. I do remember you last year saying watch out for the Texans, and then Mark Howard sending me a text like week 3 saying that you should be drug tested for telling us to watch out for the Texans. That I do remember.
Oh, I'm telling you, I remember, man. I got a good memory. I may got hit a couple of times, but I remember saying that. You laughed at me.
That is Chris Sanders, my man, who will be with us on Sunday for the pregame show. Chris, appreciate it. We'll see you Sunday, bud.
Appreciate you, man. Bye-bye.
Yep, Chris Sanders joining us on the program. Chris calls me Sundays like, I told you about Jacksonville. I was like, you told me what? He's like, I told you they were going to be the good team this year. I was like, I don't remember you telling me that.
He probably thought it.
I mean, maybe.
And that still counts.
So here is the one thing I will give Chris credit for. Every single season, without fail, Chris says we have to be worried about the worst team in the division. Every year.
Crazy Uncle Chris.
Every year.
To his defense, the Texans did beat the Titans once last year.
They did beat the Titans. That is, in fact, a fair point. So I got what I'm just going to say is bad news. I don't know if I should say bad news. It's a bad sign. We'll get to that next. 615-737-1025, a bad sign for the Titans. 615-737-1025. FanDuel Sportsbook is my official sportsbook app. And so you can start week 4 off right with a no-sweat same-game parlay from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and my official sportsbook app. It does not matter if you're new to FanDuel or if you already have an account. You'll get free bets back if your Thursday night same-game parlay does not hit. The NFL same-game parlays are a perfect way to combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout. So you've got the Bengals and the Dolphins, and I got to be honest with you, the Dolphins, Tyreek, Jalen, they are balling, everybody. I mean, they're really, really good. So I would be thinking about those guys. Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, Joe Burrow, Tua. You'll see. Build your own or choose from one of the popular same-game parlays pre-built in FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. Just sign up with the promo code JGM if you don't already have an account. If you already have a FanDuel account, you're all set. Just sign in to see what you've got. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the National Football League. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. 3+ legs, minimum $1 bet required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Your max bet is $5. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
You watch the game.
He scores! Philip Forsberg!
We talk the game.
Philip Forsberg stays here in Nashville, hearing the deal is done. 8 years, close to $70 million total.
We are the game. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey football fans, Patrick Mahomes here, and I'm here to tell you that with NFL Sunday Ticket only on DirecTV, you can watch your favorite team no matter where you live. Because NFL Sunday Ticket gives you every live out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon. So switch to DirecTV and learn how to get the 2022 NFL Sunday Ticket season included at no extra cost. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
With choice package and above, 24-month agreement required. Call for details.
Finishing jobs on time, never being idle,
and powerful equipment. Meade has the John Deere excavating equipment and the smart grade technology solutions for you and your business. Power your business with a new, used, or rented excavator and get the performance you expect and service you can rely on. Call us today for the equipment built as tough and reliable as you, or visit us at meadtractor.com. That's meadtractor.com.
Harman Energy is now hiring drivers for their Nashville team. Harman Energy is Tennessee's petroleum solution for major industry. Right now, they're offering competitive compensation. Fuel tank wagon drivers start at $26 an hour. Fuel transport drivers, $29 an hour. Plus, there's a $4,000 sign-on bonus for CDL drivers. Top quality benefits and a great place to work, Harman Energy employees provide totally outrageous customer service. Come be an employee owner with the Harman team. Apply now at HarmanEnergy.com.
Hey, all you veterans with a VA loan, if you're feeling the sting of high interest rates and high costs, your home equity can rescue you. Hey, Willie Donick here. Don't be fooled by those so-called VA lenders with high fees and high rates. Call my friends at Loan Pronto, the area's VA loan experts. They can refinance you and get you instant cash from your equity. With a VA loan, you can access up to 100% of your home's value. You can refi with Loan Pronto and pay off the high-rate credit cards and other loans. Consolidate everything into one low payment. Loan Pronto's average VA borrower saves $975 a month. If your home mortgage rate comes up a bit, it's offset by your credit card rate going to zero. When rates drop back, they'll refinance you for free. Call Loan Pronto and unlock that equity and wipe out debt. Be credit card debt-free for the holidays. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3. Terang, it's a high fly ball. We got pass rushers.
Awesome game,
Checker
flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game. And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, live in the Hillside Medical Game Studios. I don't want to say bad news. I got a bad sign. Today's the first practice day for the Colts, which, even though coming into the season, I thought the Colts game was going to have, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 amount of juice. It's got 9 amount of juice instead of 10.
Still a whole lot of juice.
Still
I still think it's a 10 juice.
You're the only one.
I am not the only one.
Ian.
There are more people out there.
On this show. Here's the bad sign. Traylon Burks did not practice today, according to TD. He was not spotted at practice. Amani Hooker did not practice today. He was not spotted by TD. Now, Zach Cunningham wasn't spotted either, but I'm not really worried about that. But Burks and Hooker?
Amani Hooker, yeah.
I mean, first of all, Matt Ryan is going to throw the ball to the other team. And the two guys that intercept the ball in the Tennessee Titans are Kevin Byard and Amani Hooker. Those are the two guys.
Those are the two guys that have intercepted balls so far this season.
But they're the guys over the last 3 years that have intercepted passes for this team. Hooker is a really, really good player.
Don't you forget about Jack Rabbit Jenkins.
Now.
You give him credit where credit is due.
Burks not spotted at practice? What the hell's wrong with Traylon Burks? And let's be honest. I mean, Chris said in the last segment, Chris Sanders, he says that he thinks Robert Woods is the number one receiver and that, Burks has a way to go. I mean, I kind of disagree with that. I think Burks is the number one receiver and Woods is a solid number 2. And Westbrook is a solid number 3. And Phillips is will be a solid slot guy. But I think Burks is the playmaker of the group. And to play against the Colts and to not have Burks, who can run on this team at wide receiver if Burks is not out there? I mean, I've been thinking all day.
And it doesn't mean he won't be out there. It's just not a good sign.
It's a bad sign.
It's bad juju.
It's a bad sign. Now, the Colts, this is a doozy of an injury report for Indianapolis. and not to say that I'm rooting for players to get hurt because I'm not, but this is a doozy. Not practicing today for the Colts. Safety Julian Blackmon, defensive tackle DeForest Buckner, defensive back Stephon Gilmore, who, by the way, is overrated at this point in his career.
He's just old.
And he's got a hamstring injury. So
Shocker.
So Gilmore didn't practice. Ryan Kelly, their center. Ian, is he not always hurt?
I mean, it feels like he gets dinged up. Him and Quentin Nelson usually pop up a couple of times a year, I'd say, on the injury report.
He did not practice. Yannick Ngakoue did not practice. Jonathan Taylor did not practice.
That's big.
Now, I don't think all those guys are not going to play. But, again, Buckner, Gilmore, Kelly, Ngakoue, and Taylor.
Those are their playmakers.
Like, if
Those
this
are
were
their
the
good
old
players.
days where they used to send out physical copies of tickets, if you had the season ticket package and you were a Colts fan, that would
all
be 10
would
games.
Tickets.
Taylor would have a ticket.
Oh, for sure. In fact,
Buckner would
two.
have a ticket. Gilmore would have a ticket. Kelly would have a ticket. Ngakoue might have a ticket. Other than Matt Ryan and Quentin Nelson and Frank Reich, everybody that would have a ticket on the Colts did not practice today. So we're going to keep our eye on that. So that's a good sign. The bad sign, I mean, not to sound crazy, the bigger deal is probably Hooker than it is Burks. But they need Burks. They need Burks. With that, let's go to your phone, 615-737-1025. We did not touch on those as we were talking about the second half problems that the Titans were having in the first hour. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Our good, dear old friend, Indy Ben, says it's probably a good thing the Titans coaches don't listen to Jared. If they did, they would take so many opponents lightly. With as much as you rag on how bad the Colts are, the Titans are being thought of in that same mindset across the league. I'm willing to bet as long as Reich doesn't take the ball out of JT's hands too often, Indy will have a great shot at winning on Sunday.
Okay, let's dissect this whole thing. What was the first thing I said today on the program when we started at 2 o'clock? And yes, I know most of the people listening right now were not listening at 2 o'clock. This is a question for Caroline and Ian. What is the first thing that I said today as Indy Ben is sitting there talking about how I'm talking about how the Colts aren't very good?
The Titans are not a good football team.
Bingo. And that's the deal with a lot of these teams right now. It's very early in the season. You do not get a trophy for being 2-1 in September. I'm sorry, Dolphins. You don't get a trophy. But the Titans are not a good football team right now. But Indy is not either. And so the idea of if Reich doesn't take the ball out of Jonathan Taylor's hands,
he already said he's
already
going to.
doing that.
Yeah.
He's doing it now. Jonathan Taylor does not average 100 yards a game, which is crazy because they've only had 3 games and he had 160 yards in the first game. Think about that.
That is wild.
It's nuts.
Through 3 games and he's not averaging 100 a game.
Like, I'm fine. If I'm a Colt
fan, that's like 20, 30 yards over the past 2
If
games.
I'm a Colt fan, we turn around and hand the ball off to Jonathan Taylor. And again, didn't practice today, but I'm sure he'll be fine. If I'm a Colt fan and we turn around and we hand the ball off to Jonathan Taylor 55 times on Sunday and we lose, I don't care. I mean, I probably wouldn't like it, but I would be okay with it. I mean, Jonathan Taylor, that is the breadwinner around here.
I mean, it is with the ball in Jonathan Taylor's hands that gives Indianapolis the best shot to win. It's the same thing with the Titans.
I think the problem with the Colts is, first off, and I brought this up with Chris, I think Matt Ryan is playing significantly worse football right now than Ryan Tannehill. And I'm not saying that Matt Ryan is that bad. I mean, he's got a lot of turnovers. He's been sacked a lot. But I don't think Matt Ryan is playing well. It's hard to judge him right now because the line is a mess in Indianapolis, and they didn't have Pittman in the Jacksonville game, and they didn't have Alec Pierce, but they really don't have anything dependable right now at wide receiver outside of Pittman. Now, they threw a couple of those stick routes, the balls that Derek Carr loves to throw to Darren Waller. They threw a couple of those to Jelani Woods in the end zone, and he boxed out the safety and caught 2 of them against Kansas City. But Matt Ryan was not leading the Colts down the field for those drives. Kansas City was giving them short fields to work with. The Chris Jones penalty or whatever it may be. I think the biggest problem right now for me with the Colts is they really don't have – this is why I'm not so worried about the Colts. They don't have any real threat of a passing attack right now. And they don't have any real threat of a pass rush. And those 2 things make it very hard for me to view your team as a good football team. No passing attack, no pass rush. And
the coach actively wants to take the ball out of their best player's hands.
Their number 2 wide receiver is a running back. Nyheim Hines is the second best receiver on that team behind Pittman. And so I think the Titans are going to match DB up on him. And, Alec Pierce caught 1 the other day. And I want to say, Woods had the 2 touchdowns. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see Jelani Woods up on that depth chart. But he's still a really young player. And I'm not sure that he's not Darren Waller. I'm not sure that he's ready for Byard and these guys this week. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think the Titans absolutely, positively, 100% could lose this game on Sunday. That does not mean that today I think the Colts are very good. And I think if the Titans lose on Sunday, it will be the Titans' fault for losing on Sunday. Chad is up next. Thank you for calling the program. What you got, Chad?
Hey, so about the offense, if they can run like they used to do Delaney Walker, where he used to be like, the inside-outside route, and run him out like that instead of run him, by himself out there, I think that would be an accomplishment. If they, defense-wise, if they ran just to try it out, if they ran Simmons and Autry on the inside instead of the outside, just to try to mix it up, I just wonder if it'd change anything.
So they mixed it up a lot on Sunday. Thank you for your call, Chad. They mixed it up a lot on Sunday. And this is where when the official injury report comes out, has that come out yet, Ian, the official injury report?
Not for the Titans, no.
Okay. When that comes out, we will be very aware of what Bud Dupree's status is. Because if Bud plays, I think it's a big-time impact in Sunday's game. Now, TD did report that Bud returned to practice today. Was Bud limited? Was Bud full? I mean, if Bud is full on Wednesday, then that tells me that Bud is playing on Sunday. Mm-hmm. Bud's probably playing on Sunday no matter what. But if Bud is full on Wednesday, then I will feel very confident that Bud will be 100% on Sunday. And then you're going to see more of Autry and Simmons inside. But if it's not, it's going to be like it was last week where they want to put DeMarcus Walker and Tierra Tart and Naquan Jones and guys that are real NFL players and are better than Derek Tuska, who was out there on Sunday, and Wyatt Ray, who are not NFL players on the field. Now, they already cut Tuska, but they cut him because they realized real quick he wasn't very good. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025 here on the program. We'll get back into some more of your phones here. And I have to say, there's one thing that I'm struggling with a little bit that the Titans are doing offensively that I just don't get it. We'll get to that next. 615-737-1025 here on the program. Stillman and Company. Let me tell all the fine folks out there. By the way, we got Earth, Wind, and Fire tickets you can win later in the program. So be listening for your chance to do that. Hey, be sure to listen to the NFL Game of the Week on 94.9 The Fan. This week it'll be the Denver Broncos against the Las Vegas Raiders at 3:25. The Game of the Week is brought to you by Red Spirits and Wine in Bellevue and Superbook Sports, voted the #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today.
Every Wednesday at noon.
No matter the down and distance and no matter the score, they're going to give him the football.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Chase, Willie, and D-Mace to talk all things Titans and NFL.
I hope that they're not throwing flags simply because the league wants to see more of them.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
They are not as good at wide receiver and the playmaking department.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon. Presented by Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and The Game Nashville app.
Hi guys, are you struggling with erectile dysfunction? Did you know that a major medical breakthrough is now available and it isn't a pill? Today, Wednesday, September 28th, we're running a one-day special you won't want to miss out on. Hillside Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow. It's backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge. If you're ready to regain that spark in the bedroom, today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. Also, a gift that can produce rapid and powerful results in the bedroom. You're going to love that, guys, trust me. And today only, we're offering 6 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is unprecedented, worth hundreds of dollars. But call today and qualify totally free. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today. 615-576-5000.
This segment of ESPN 102.5 The Game is brought to you by Train Heating and Cooling Systems. Tested, retested, engineered, and re-engineered to keep up with you. We run together. Visit traininfo.com to find your local independent train dealer. Traininfo.com. It's hard to stop a train.
Football is back, and so are the deals at Electronic Express. Get tailgate ready with great deals on all of your favorite brands like Whirlpool, HP, Sony, iRobot, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department: computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture, mattresses, and more. Save up to 40% with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com and get free express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make football season happen.
What's up, Nashville? It's Michelle Knezovic, and I am telling you all to root for safeties this season with your friends at Superbook Sports. If you bet with Superbook this football season, they will give you a $50 bonus. Yes, a $50 bonus if a safety is scored on Sunday. From a punter running out of the end zone to a QB sack worth 2 points, root for the chaos. I know I will be, and win money with Superbook this fall. Download the Superbook Tennessee app right now and start rooting for two with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
When I came to Genesis, I was completely shocked and surprised.
That's Tara Michelle, but like so many of her customers, she's made the switch to Genesis.
Now working at Genesis, I'm able to offer my customers more inventory, more selection, better pricing, better warranties and guarantees.
And Tara loves that now she's got access to the top designers and all the latest ring styles. Over 4,000 choices.
The picture that she's captured on Instagram, they show me that picture. I don't have just one option for them. I have plenty. And we're going to hit it out of the park every single time. I'm not only getting the customers exactly what they want style-wise, but the price is going to be unbeatable. Without a doubt, hands down.
And unlike the other stores, Tara's not working on commission at Genesis, so less stress for everyone.
I'm not putting pressure on the customer to purchase because no one's putting pressure on me to sell. I have the freedom to make it a personal experience for them.
Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
It's on. It's happening. Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way. I'm watching a game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Ryan, how good was it to get Robert Woods going? You kind of had something going there in that last game. Just how important is to keep that, and also just anything with Austin Hooper, if you're going just continuing to make that somebody you're going to target.
Yeah, no doubt. I think Robert's done a good job the past 2 weeks, really, of kind of building on what he did in Buffalo and coming out and having another good game here at home last week. So definitely just want to keep it going in that direction with him, and then Hooper's going to get his opportunities. Hopefully sooner rather than later. We'll see when they end up coming up, but obviously a talented guy and have a lot of chemistry with him. So I'm just looking forward to those spots opening up in games and being able to get him the ball.
We're going to get the ball to Austin Hooper. Austin Hooper, through 3 games, has 9 targets. So 3 targets a game, not catches. Targets. 3 targets a game, 2 targets, 1 reception against the Giants, 5 targets, 1 reception against the Bills, and 2 targets, 2 catches against the Raiders. He's got 4 catches on the season through 3 games. And we were told by all these people, hey, watch out for the Austin Hooper-Ryan Tannehill connection. That thing is going to be popping this season.
And over the summer, there were so many people predicting 500-plus yards for Austin Hooper.
Take him in your fantasy team. And I was like, whoa.
And maybe that comes to fruition. But with 4 catches through 3 games, I don't know how you get to 550 yards.
Now, I do have one criticism of the Titans. They don't play him enough.
No, they love Jeff Swaim too much to play Austin Hooper.
So, D. Mason and I got into this on the pregame show on Sunday, which is I think they have to let Hooper block. Jonnu Smith's not a great blocker. Frank Wycheck was not a great blocker. And I'm not saying that Austin Hooper is Frank Wycheck, because he's not. And I would never be that disrespectful to Frank. But Austin Hooper needs to be on the field. This idea of, well, he's not a great blocker. Swaim is. Put Swaim out there. But, guys, Swaim is not a good enough blocker to justify how much he plays. And Hooper is a better pass catcher, even though I'm sure Swaim has more catches this season. I'd have to look it up to see if he has more than 4. I'm guessing he probably
I
does.
absolutely would say he has more than 4, and I don't have to check.
But, I mean, they need to play Hooper more. They really don't want him to block. I mean, they are treating him like he's Anthony Ferkser, where Anthony Ferkser only went in the game in passing situations. Anthony Ferkser was like a third receiver on this team, where it would go from 2nd and 7 to 3rd and 11, and Henry goes off the field, and Blasingame goes off the field, and the Chester Rogers and Ferkser run on the field, and Hilliard, like the pass catching guys run on the field, and that's what they're doing with Hooper. Well, that's fine, but that's not a number 1 tight end. That is not a starting tight end in the NFL. The starting tight end for the Titans is Jeff Swain. It is not Austin Hooper. And that needs to change.
And that's not what we were expecting.
No.
Also, not really what we were told.
Not what we were expecting, not what we were told is one thing. But it's also, in my opinion, not very practical.
It's not smart.
Right. So that's one thing and I wonder if Tannehill kind of meant that with, sooner rather than later with Hooper getting his targets. If that was kind of a little nudge, I don't know. But I'm sitting there and I'm watching Kevin Rader, who was signed in the middle of the week last week, out there on the field, and Austin Hooper not. And I'm thinking, what are they doing? And maybe they don't think Austin Hooper can be a number 1 tight end. And they're not paying him they're probably paying him bottom starter money. But, I mean, when they signed him to a 1-year, $7 million contract, it was to start. He was signed to that big contract in Cleveland to start. David Njoku was better than him, beat him out. They paid the money to Njoku. They cut Hooper. Hooper was signed on a 1-year prove-it deal as a starting tight end. And that is starting tight end.
That's what this team needed, was a starting tight end. A
Jeff
certified
Swain,
pass-catching tight end.
Jeff Swain is the starting tight end now for this team. That's got to change. What do we have? 615-737-1025. What do we have?
One texter texts in and says, I believe the Titans are not making the right adjustments at halftime to either put the game away or take control of it. They're either getting overly defensive or one-dimensional.
So I don't really understand what they're supposed to do as far as the adjustments are concerned. I have not criticized the adjustments because not sure I have an alternative. To the point about they're becoming one-dimensional in the second half. The Buffalo game, they were down by a bunch of points. A team's going to be one-dimensional when that happens. But in the Raider game, this was the personnel packages in the second half. Run, mix, pass. 50-50 right there.
Yeah.
Run, mix, pass, run, mix.
50-50.
Run, pass, run, pass. Mix, pass, run, pass. Run, mix, pass. You see what I'm saying? It's a mix. It's really a true, it didn't feel to me like they got too, predictable when they run Hollister on the field, yes, but it didn't feel to me like the Titans were strictly running and not passing in the second half of the Raider game. And it didn't feel that way, I would say, against the Giants. My biggest problem is the Titans finding themselves in these 3rd and 1s and running the jumbo package out there and not getting any yards. How many games in a row does that have to happen before they realize, you know what, let's leave Robert Woods on the field when we get into a 3rd and 1, because when we run the football with Robert Woods on the field, we play better.
I feel like the Titans abandon what works.
What do you mean?
What they were doing in the first half against the Raiders, that was working. And then they abandoned it in the second half.
What specifically are you talking about, though?
I'm talking about putting Burks out there to block. I'm talking about using a good mix of run and pass plays in different personnel. At least putting Burks out there almost as a decoy, so the defense is thrown off of, I don't know what you're doing, when in the second half, that's not what they were doing. You didn't see Treylon Burks out there as much as you saw him in the first half. You didn't see Tannehill targeting Robert Woods or passing the ball off to Derrick Henry as much as you saw it in the first half.
So we have an update here. Amani Hooker, concussion, did not practice. Maybe he'll be ready for Sunday.
Maybe.
That's all we worry about there. Treylon Burks, illness, did not practice. He'll probably be ready for Sunday.
Yep.
He'll probably be ready for Sunday. Austin Hooper, neck, did not practice.
Yikes. That's a little scary.
Bud Dupree, full.
That's a good sign.
Bud Dupree's playing Sunday against the Colts.
Good sign.
That is a great sign for the Titans that Bud Dupree was full. Christian Fulton limited with a hamstring. I feel better about that than not practicing with a hamstring. If you're going to practice a little bit with a hamstring, you're going to be fine on Sunday. So the injury report for the Titans looking much better than the injury report of the Colts, which is literally DeForest Buckner, Jonathan Taylor, Yannick Ngakoue, Stephon Gilmore, Ryan Kelly, and I forget who else I left off. And apparently Tom Pelissero is reporting that it's just a precautionary toe injury as far as Jonathan Taylor is concerned. But we will continue to monitor that. What else we got?
Another texter texts in and says if Tannehill doesn't commit any turnovers, then the Titans have a great chance of winning the game.
I think that as long as Ryan Tannehill continues to play the way he plays, he's going to give them a lot of chances. I don't think that it's the number one key. I mean, I guess it probably is, because if they turn the ball over, they will lose on Sunday. But Ryan Tannehill didn't turn the ball over against the Giants and they lost, which I would have thought was, unfathomable.
And if you take those 2 interceptions away from the Buffalo game, the Titans probably still get killed.
Yeah, that did make a difference in that game. They were already getting killed when he threw those, and he threw those because they were getting killed and he had to throw the ball. And then the one against the Raiders, I mean, I sympathize with him on. I don't put on him for whatever that's worth. 615-737-1025. We'll get back to your phones, but this must be what happens for those guys every day. But Robbie and Joe apparently went off the freaking deep end today. Caroline even got worked up about it. We'll get to that coming up next. Caroline, tell us about the Caesars Sportsbook app.
It is time for the Caesars Sportsbook report. Now, first things first, your first bet with Caesars. It is on Caesars Sportsbook, up to $1,250. Just download the app, use the promo code RADIOFULL, that's one word, RADIOFULL, and then place your first bet. And if you win, then congratulations, go have fun with that money. But if not, don't worry about it, because you'll get that stake back as a free bet. Now, if you need something to place that first bet on, I'm looking at the odds boost going on in Caesars today. Aaron Judge records 1 or more walks against the Blue Jays tonight at plus 100 odds. I feel like that's a pretty safe bet because I don't think anyone wants to pitch to Aaron Judge, who is just knocking the crap out of the ball. Open to new users in Tennessee who are 21 or older. If qualifying bet loses, bet amount returned as a credit. Must use within 14 days. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. Caesars Sportsbook. You bet, you get.
Every Monday at 6, it's the Eddie George Show live from 6th and Peabody.
When we hit the turf, we clock in, we're locked in, and we're committed to our craft.
Each week, the former Titan and current TSU head coach will be joined by Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton.
Props to you and your staff, but also to the kids that have bought into everything you're saying.
And special guests to break down the Tigers' latest game and talk all things football. The Eddie George Show, Mondays at 6 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Nashville, there is a significant blood supply shortage after multiple traumas over the past Labor Day weekend. Blood Assurance, the area's only nonprofit blood centers, needs your help with your blood donation. When you donate with Blood Assurance, you can save up to 3 lives right here in the Middle Tennessee area. Make your blood donation in honor of 9/11 Day. Blood Assurance is giving out special commemorative 9/11 shirts for all donors. Give blood, give local, save lives with Blood Assurance. Go to bloodassurance.org to find a location today.
Football season is here again, and when it comes to procuring my adult beverages for the big games, I saddle up and head to Red Spirits and Wine. Red's titanic selection of beer, wine, distilled spirits, and cigars is second to none. And Red's Cracker Jack crew always delivers a winning combination of service and value. There's no two ways about it. Red is top of the range. Open 7 days a week at Highway 70 South in Bellevue. And check us out at redspirits.com.
College football season is here. Finally, it's me, Caroline Fenton, and you already know that I am pumped up for college football season. And Southeastern Carolines, you know that 312 Pizza Company is my favorite place in town. 312 Pizza Company is a family-owned restaurant located in the heart of Germantown, serving up authentic Chicago-style eats right here in Music City. You can catch every down of the college football season at 312 Pizza Company. From week 1 to the national championship, 312 Pizza Company is your home for college football season.
MTSU football welcomes Tennessee Titan Kevin Byard back home to Floyd Stadium Friday, September 30th as they host UTSA Roadrunners under the lights. Blue Raider great Kevin Byard will become only the second MTSU football player to have his jersey retired. Kickoff is scheduled for 6:30 p.m. Friday, September 30th. Make sure to grab your seat today. To purchase tickets, visit goblueraiders.com/tickets. Middle Tennessee, we are Blue Knighted.
Jonathan Hutton.
You have to put the ball in his hands in that moment.
And Chad Withrow
My kicker's making no decisions on a football team.
are in the game. Join them for NFL postgame after every Titans home game, live from Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on Broadway. They'll break down that day's game and look ahead to the next one. NFL postgame is presented by Two Rivers Ford, Renter's Warehouse, and Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Mookie Betts. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Hey, tune into the college football game of the week on 102.5, 106.3 The Game on Saturday as Alabama takes on Arkansas at 2:30. The college football game of the week is brought to you by Twin Peaks, home of 29-degree drafts and wall-to-wall sports, and Superbook Sports, voted the #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today. So this morning, I was literally lying in bed, and I'm sitting there in bed this morning, and like 5 people text me, and they're like, "Are you listening to the morning show right now?" And one of them was Caroline.
Yep.
And I have to read this one text just because. But, I mean, people this morning, like right around 7:30, people just started blowing up my phone about the morning show. 7:55 a.m., quote, Rex Road running the comedy hour this morning was something that somebody texted me. So I'm like, what? I mean, what is happening? So Tennessee beat Florida on Saturday. We all know. It was a lot closer than it should have been. I'm disappointed in Tennessee for not winning that game by more points. I am. And apparently Robbie and Joe this morning were talking about if Tennessee could make it to the college football playoff.
Yes, and it goes beyond that. Because if you want to talk about the scenario for Tennessee to get to the college football playoff,
well, before we get angry, let's hear what they said, in all fairness.
Okay.
This is what they said.
A 10-2 Tennessee team that beats Kentucky, that beats LSU, that already has Pittsburgh and Florida wins, that plays in 2 close games against Alabama and Georgia. There's going to be, who's the? I mean, there's 3 teams we know are going to be in the freaking thing, right? Like, just put them in. Just put them in right now. It's over. Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. Okay? You're telling me the 10-2 Tennessee team that loses close games, that plays basically, I don't know the numbers, but you gotta think that's right up there among the toughest schedules in all of college football. That's not a playoff team? It's absolutely a playoff team.
Now, I have to ask after hearing that. Was that segment presented by GoGreen.com, Joe's
weed
Joe's weed distributor or whatever? Because, I mean, that's just that's a hot take. Like,
and it's also making a very massive assumption that Tennessee is going to play Alabama and Georgia close. They might. I'm not going to assume that.
But you know what I am going to assume? They could lose both those games by 1 point if they have 2 losses. And
they're
Georgia
not getting into the college football playoff. And Joe later on that morning said Tennessee deserves to be in the college football playoff with 2 losses over an undefeated USC team. Because Tennessee has a more difficult schedule, and since they lost to 2 teams that are in the playoff, Alabama and Georgia, they deserve to be in. That's not how the playoff works. Have we not been doing this long enough to understand that there has never been a 2-loss team in the college football playoff? Cincinnati got in last year, and you can't even argue with me. They had probably the easiest schedule of all 4 teams that got into the playoff, but they got in because they were undefeated. Baylor won their conference but had 2 losses, and they didn't get in. Ohio State had 2 losses. They didn't get in. They had much more difficult schedules than Cincinnati had, but Cincinnati didn't lose any games. A 2-loss team won't get in.
Well, not only that, I guess the argument then would be that 3 of 4 spots are going to go to the SEC, which is never going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
Then the other argument is that you would be petitioning for a 2-loss non-conference champion that didn't win their division to get into the college football playoff. I mean, I was actually watching the game on Saturday, and I was thinking about this, that in a 12-team playoff, which you know I hate, but in a 12-team playoff, Tennessee, Kentucky might be a de facto play-in game.
Yeah.
One of those teams very much so, if we were going to 12, one of those teams very much so could end up in the college football playoff this year. But not in a 14 playoff.
No.
I mean, I'm not going to assume that Alabama And I'm not going to assume that Alabama and Georgia are just for sure going to get there. I mean, I feel pretty strongly
safe
that they are.
But you're right.
But, I mean, crazy things have happened. So I think it's hard to argue that for sure that's going to happen. But, I mean, the idea that there's not going to be about 18 one-loss teams that are knocking on the door before they would put in a 2-loss non-conference, non-division champion is kind of ridiculous. I mean, they're not going to do that. They're not going to put 3 teams from one conference into a 14 playoff. And the argument for that, and I think this is a fair argument, is that if Tennessee loses to both Georgia and Alabama, then they don't deserve to make the playoff because we know they're not the best team. How do we know they're not the best team? They lost to 2 of the teams that are competing for the championship. Mm-hmm. So we already know. So we don't need it. I mean, that sounds kind of crazy. And maybe this is what happens to Robbie and Joe every day, is people text them and are like, Jared said. But, man, even for them. And I think Joe and Robbie, like, their discussion points about Tennessee football are kind of making me a little uncomfortable right now. Like, how much they talk Tennessee football makes me uncomfortable because I just don't think enough people in Nashville care that much.
It's GB Joe.
And that. Like, I almost feel like it's like the Homer Hour when I listen to those guys talk. Like, they go deep down the depth chart. Like, I sometimes feel like I'm listening to Knoxville radio. It's like, I know Johnny Josephson is a true freshman, but Johnny Jacobson is not playing well enough, and he was only a 3-star, and Johnny Josephson was a 5-star, and it's like, man, that is not, to me, in a pro sports city, what people care about when it comes to the college team. Like, the college team is like, they should have beat Florida by more, which they should have, by the way.
Yes.
But I think this idea of talking about Tennessee in the playoff, the only way, here's how Tennessee gets the playoff. They beat Alabama and Georgia. That's the only way.
Even if they just beat Georgia, and then they win the SEC championship, I would say that's a path to the playoff. I also would not bet on that to happen.
If they beat Georgia and win the SEC championship. So you're saying they lose to Alabama and then they beat Alabama?
Yes.
Yeah, that would get them in the playoff.
Yeah.
So, to my point, they'd have to beat Georgia and Alabama.
Yes, but not necessarily in the regular season.
But they'd have to beat them both.
At some point, yes.
That's the only way in. I'm sorry. That's the only way into the playoff for this team. And I did not, that is not a controversial statement. And I hate this for Tennessee fans.
There's been enough playoffs where we understand what is a shoe-in and what is very obviously a shoe-out.
And this is what bothers me about Tennessee fans in general. And this goes back to the GB Joe. Did you just make that up?
No, they call him that on the morning show.
I mean, he is kind of
He is GB Joe.
Like, those two are kind of Vols Bobos. Like, Robbie texted me earlier and called me a Titans Bobo, and I don't know what for. But I mean, that show, I got to be honest with you, man. Like, I don't think people care about the Vols as much as they love them. They love them. Robbie and Joe love that team. They love that. Look, I predicted
Tennessee is a very fun team to watch and follow this year.
I predicted before the season they were going to go 10-2. And everybody looked at me cross-eyed, and I said they're going to go 10-2. And I still think it. I think they're going to go to LSU. I think they're going to beat LSU. I think it's going to be a
I
great
think they're going to go
game.
to LSU and beat LSU.
I think it's going to be a
biggest
great
LSU
game
fan in the city.
When they play Kentucky, and I think they're going to beat Kentucky, even though Mel Kiper Jr. came out today and is comparing Will Levis, the quarterback at Kentucky, to Matthew Stafford. I am not. Mel said it. Be mad at him, not me. But talking about Tennessee making the college football playoff is kind of preposterous. Like, it's kind of ludicrous. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHoney.com. Scott wants to get in on this. Thank you for calling. What's up, Scott?
I think you and Caroline are taking that thing way out of context. If you listen to the radio like I did this morning for the entire time, that was tongue-in-cheek. I don't think that they meant that Tennessee was going to make the college football playoff. And I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you.
I listened. I listened from 7 to 8 this morning, and then from 9:30 to 10. They were talking about Tennessee making the college football playoff in both of those instances that I was listening, and it was not tongue-in-cheek. I mean, Joe's coming on the show later, so he can tell us. But Joe said, and I quote, a 10-2 Tennessee team has no argument to not get into the college football playoff.
has no argument to not get in.
He said you cannot make an argument for a 10-2 Tennessee team with losses to Georgia and Alabama to not get into the college football playoff. It didn't sound sarcastic to me.
I mean, it sounds kind of stupid. It's
just false. That is just not true. There's very much so an argument for a 10-2 Tennessee team to not get into the college football playoff because there's never been a 2-loss team that's gotten into the college football playoff. I think that's all I need to say.
Yeah, Penn State, I believe, won the Big Ten. I want to say this was like 2017, the year that Alabama got in as the fourth team. And it was a big deal because Alabama didn't win the SEC, and they didn't even win the SEC West. They lost one game to Auburn. Auburn won the West. Georgia beat Auburn. Georgia got in as the 1. Alabama got in as like the 3 or something like that. And that was and Penn State had 2 losses but beat Ohio State and won the Big Ten. And it was like, does Penn State belong in because they won their conference championship and they beat Ohio State? Or does Alabama belong in because they only lost 1 game? And they put Alabama in who only lost 1 game. And I don't think Alabama beat anybody that year. And Alabama got in. I mean, like, the reality is you can only lose 1 game if everybody else doesn't lose a game.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like, if USC goes undefeated and there's a 1-loss SEC team, let's say Alabama beats Georgia.
Okay.
And Clemson goes undefeated, and Clemson goes undefeated, USC goes undefeated, and Ohio State goes undefeated. It's going to be really hard for Alabama to make the playoff with 1 loss when everybody else doesn't have a loss. And then that's going to be a whole thing. But a 2-loss team? They would never do that.
No.
Why are you smiling so big?
I'm just several Vol fans in my personal text line. One says Joe Rexrode for president.
Yeah.
And the other says, I can't wait until Alabama comes into Neyland and we kick their butt.
Yeah, that's some hot takeage right there.
There is a whole lot of hot takeage.
I mean, that's like, and I got to be honest with you, as somebody who probably is like ushered in the era of Nashville sports talk radio where there isn't like one real strong Tennessee feeling one way or another with me. Like, I don't root for them. I don't really root against them. I did growing up, but I don't now. This is the kind of stuff that really drives everybody else that's an SEC fan nuts.
Yes.
Is that Tennessee wins 1 game by 5 points when they should have won by a lot more. They win 1 game against a horrendous Florida team that just barely and should have lost to South Florida at home, who just lost 41-3 to Louisville. That they win 1 game, and all of a sudden it's like, we could be in the playoff. And it's like, guys, you have a great team this year,
yes.
A good coach. You should win 10 games. I think Tennessee should go to the Sugar Bowl this year. It's going to come down to them versus Kentucky. I think Arkansas pooping their pants last week against A&M kind of cleared the way out of the West to where there's not going to be
they could
a
redeem
2-loss.
themselves this week.
They won't.
I know.
There's not going to be a 2-loss SEC West team. There's not. The 3rd best team in the SEC is coming out of the East. It's either Tennessee or Kentucky. That game will be played at Neyland Stadium. Alabama and Georgia are probably going to the playoff, and the winner of that game is going to the Sugar Bowl. And if Josh Heupel, with a pile of crap that he inherited, ends up in the Sugar Bowl in year 2 with Hendon Hooker, that is a monumental accomplishment. And instead of us talking about that, it's, I think Tennessee can make the playoff. What was the take you said Joe had about making the playoff?
Joe said that you cannot make an argument for Tennessee to not get into the college football playoff if they're 10-2.
That's ridiculous. We'll go to your phone. 615-737-1025. That's our phone number, 615-737-1025. Speaking of that show and the SEC, be sure to join Michelle Knezovic this Saturday at Lucky Duck Lounge in East Nashville at 2512 Gallatin Avenue for the SEC Game of the Week, presented by BettingHero.com. They're going to help you enjoy your betting experience on mobile and maybe even buy you a beer. Fun starts at 2:30 on Saturday.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports?
He looks like 1,000 quarterbacks I've seen in a college game.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and company.
The coaching staff kept him and got rid of the other guys.
He'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
If he's so great in the locker room, then give him a coaching gig.
Chad Withrow is presented by Two Rivers Ford. Custom order your new Ford from Two Rivers Ford on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. Forecast for today calling for upper 60s to low 70s after a crisp and cool start in the 40s. No rain in our forecast until Saturday into Sunday, and those rain chances are limited at best.
Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Attention sports fans, your favorite sportbook BetUS.com is back for their 28th year of NFL action with the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%. BetUS offer their members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite leagues, including the NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. They've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest European slots, and their dealers are waiting for you at the table. You need a sportbook with integrity and longevity. You need to know that you will get paid. You need a sportbook that offer everything, including live betting, MMA, golf, horse racing, esports, and all kinds of crazy bets. Call today at 1-800-79-BET-US. That's 1-800-79-BET-US, and they will walk you through setting up an account. Nobody in the industry gets better bonuses than BetUS. Join now, mention 1025, and you can get up to 200% in bonuses on your first deposit. Nobody beats that. Head to BetUS.com and join today. That's BetUS, where the games begin.
Get your game on at Social Furniture. Entertain in style and make your social experience more comfortable with new furniture. Everyone loves to socialize. That's why you need new furniture. Save big. Professional same-day delivery and installation. Finance interest-free. Get rewarded with social cash back. Buy $1,000, get $125 cash back. Buy $3,000, get $450 cash back on your Social Furniture gift card to spend on accessories, new TV, sports events, or anything you like. Huge selection in stock. Shop local. Shop social.
This is a relationship, just like your relationship. Dating and getting married is awesome and fun, but having been married for 24 years, I can tell you it only gets better.
Meet Ward Herbert, manager at Genesis Diamonds, talking about the importance of having a long-term marriage with your spouse and your jeweler.
What's in the DNA here is relationship building. How can we be a part of your love story forever? It's your engagement ring, it's your wedding band, it's your anniversaries, it's gifts for your children, it's being a Genesis customer for life.
Genesis Diamonds, where it's never about making a sale, it's about making a hero.
The greatest joy I get is helping you find your perfect ring, helping you find your perfect diamond, and having you walk out with a huge smile on your face because you know she's going to love it and it's going to be something you can be proud of forever.
And Ward knows a thing or two about relationships as a marriage counselor and an ordained minister. He can provide a little extra added value.
I did a wedding ceremony for one of our customers 2 months ago. He did not have a minister at the last minute, and I performed his wedding ceremony for him.
Genesis Diamonds, going above and beyond for every customer.
Now you may kiss the bride.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Robbie Stanley.
It really doesn't matter until the pads come on, and you have to hit each other, you have to block.
Joe Rexrode.
Reliable, go out and make some plays for you. Solid player.
Get your morning started with Robbie and Rexrode every weekday from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Do you really think they're the 8th best team in college football?
Everything is relative, right? And it's a matter of who's better that's behind them. You know, are they better than Oklahoma State, NC State, Penn State, Utah, Oregon? Yeah, I think you can make a good case that Tennessee should be ahead of those teams, or it's just a big mush, and you could say, well, they all have about an equal case. But right now, you've got Tennessee ranked number 8 in the nation, and they're number 4 in those rankings in their own conference, because Kentucky's sitting there at number 7. So that's kind of half crazy. But I think that number 8 should not be considered a fluke, because it's relative. And if you name any of the next 4 teams behind them, I can make just as good a case for Tennessee to be at number 8 as I can for any of those other teams to be.
That was Trevor Maddich yesterday on our program. If I asked Trevor, can you make a case for a 10-2 Tennessee team to make the playoff? Do you think he'd be able to do that?
No, I do not.
Okay, so that's what Robbie and Joe apparently were doing this morning. And I didn't hear it, and normally I criticize those who do talk, because usually that happens with me, where it's like, Jared said, it's like, I didn't say that. Now, you heard it.
Yes.
And a bunch of other people texted me about it. Was Robbie an innocent bystander in this discussion, or was Robbie embracing the idea that Tennessee could lose to Georgia, Alabama, and still somehow make the playoff?
I'll let you guess.
I think he stayed out of it.
No, he was all in.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of a bobo, but, not.
No, don't call Robbie a bobo.
Well, he loves the Vols.
Of course he does.
Right. Like Joe, Joe would be like, if you said that I love the Vols, I don't, whatever. But
I do think they said it have to be close games versus Georgia and Alabama, not just losses.
I don't think people understand this. Those don't matter.
I know.
That almost never matters.
I would say
close, blowout, doesn't matter.
The only time that matters, if you're talking about two conference champions with the same record, then they start to look at quality of win or quality of loss. Then a team that consistently blows opponents out will get in over a team that maybe had a bunch of really close margins of victory. But that's really getting into the nitty-gritty.
We've done this for 8 years now or whatever it's been. And only one time did somebody blowing somebody out matter. It was the first year, and it was Ohio State blowing out Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game. It's the only thing that mattered. Other than that, blowouts, it doesn't matter. Does not matter.
But, I mean, if Tennessee does have close losses to Alabama and Georgia, they're not going to get into the college football playoff.
No.
But I think Tennessee fans have every right to be really excited about what's being built in Knoxville. But that doesn't mean that it's a failure if you don't get into the college football playoff.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Tennessee really has much of a chance against either of those teams to even keep it close. But they certainly don't have they certainly don't. I'm not doing this. It's ridiculous. Let's go to your phones. Phone line driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com.
Matt from Camden texts in and says the UT Florida game outdid the Titans this weekend rating in Nashville. I think people do care.
Did it?
I don't know.
Did it actually? I feel like that's something that would have come across my desk, though I was locked out of Twitter for a while. I can't believe that.
I think that might be true.
I can't believe that. I cannot believe that it would have gotten a higher rating. Now, it isn't a better time of day, 2:30 on a Saturday, but I can't believe it would have gotten a higher rating than the Titans game. I cannot believe it.
I think it did. I think that is the truth.
How?
I do not know.
How?
That is how ratings work.
That is stunning.
Let's see if I can find it. But while we're trying to find that, Josh from White House texts in and says, I'm not necessarily agreeing with Joe, but I believe what he said is the Vols lose close fourth quarter games against Bama and Georgia and went 10-2.
Doesn't matter.
Then USC went undefeated. Then you could make an argument for the Vols to get in over USC.
So
what I heard was you cannot make an argument against Tennessee. Maybe I misheard that.
So that's why I asked that question about when you said, without a doubt, you said that unequivocally that Joe said that there is no argument to keep out a 10-2 team that has close losses to Alabama and Georgia.
That's what I heard it interpreted.
Because any undefeated conference champion has an argument over that. And I think everybody needs to stop kind of moving the goalposts because, no, it didn't. I'm reading Steve Lehman's tweet right here. The Titans got a 22.3. The Vols got an 18.7.
Close.
Yeah, but that's not beating them.
Good ratings for the Vols, but no, that's not beating them.
This is actually what I thought. I was talking to my dad about this. I was pretty close. I figured the Vols probably got somewhere around like a 19, and that the Titans probably got somewhere around a 28. So I guess I was off on the Titans if they got like a 22, and the Vols got an 18. I figured the Vols would get a huge number. The SEC CBS game's always going to get a huge number in Nashville. Even if it's, this week it's Arkansas, Alabama, and it's still going to get like a 10. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And that's not even a premium game.
If not more.
The Alabama, like a Georgia versus a good LSU, that's going to get like a 13, 14, 15. So, that's a good number. It's a good number for Tennessee. But it's not, it's a regular Titan game on Fox. Got a 22. They are not comparable. What's next?
Liam texts in and says, to me, it sounded like they were saying they should get in, as in if they lost 2 close games, they would be one of the 4 best, but not that they would actually get in.
I didn't hear it.
Either way.
So your interpretation of this.
This is what Joe Rexrode said, and this was my interpretation.
Have a little extra here stuff if you guys want to listen.
Please, let's go to the tape.
If USC rips through the Pac-12, and it's impressive. Caleb Williams is really good. He's got to be somewhere in the Heisman talk. Lincoln Riley's a good coach, but what will they have done? Let's see. So far, it's Rice, Stanford, Fresno State, Oregon State, okay? So, at Utah would be a good win, but again, Utah, you can't lose to Florida.
Yeah.
Utah losing to Florida, to me, even if Southern Cal goes undefeated, the rest of their schedule is nothing. Notre Dame at home. That Tennessee team at 10-2. should absolutely get a playoff spot over an undefeated USC. They won't, but they should.
Okay, like that's a ridiculous take. What he just said is ridiculous.
Because, no, you cannot be a 2-loss team, and you should not get into the playoff. If you lose 2 games, you should not.
They won't, but they should. They shouldn't. If USC goes undefeated, and I'm not saying USC should be in the playoff, because if Clemson goes undefeated, then I think we have a legitimate argument between Clemson and USC.
But there might be 2 spots for 2 undefeated Clemson and USC.
Here's the real question.
That's also making massive assumptions.
Does a 1-loss Alabama or Georgia get knocked out for an undefeated Clemson?
Ooh, it would depend on the loss. If
I'm
it's a
guessing
conference
that the
champion
one loss would be the other team.
Yeah, if it would be a conference championship loss,
then they're out.
It would have to be.
Then they're out. If Clemson goes undefeated, let's say Clemson, USC, Ohio State, and the SEC champion go undefeated.
That's your 4.
And the SEC championship game is basically the 5th place game.
Yeah.
And the loser's 5th.
That's your 4.
And this idea of, well, they should put Tennessee in. It's ridiculous.
And it's also making we
nuts.
are in
crazy.
week 5 of the college football season. There are 12 weeks. We are making so many massive assumptions about so many teams.
Let's just worry about Tennessee going to LSU and beating LSU. And let's just worry about Tennessee and Kentucky jockeying for that 3rd spot in the SEC, and that what we would assume is going to be a trip to the Sugar Bowl. Because a trip to the Sugar Bowl would be a monumental step in the right direction for Tennessee football compared to where they were 2 years ago. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. The Titans are playing nice. D. Mace unloaded on one of the players that much was expected of. We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman and Company right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You watch the game.
Shot on the score. Philip Tomasino on the power play.
We talk the game.
I think the Predators have significantly upgraded with him in the top 6.
We are the game. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick, the type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera, and the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
Are you getting hit hard with higher costs and higher interest rates? Is your credit card rate going up every month? Hey, Willie Donick, how'd you like to wipe out those credit cards before the holidays? Call Loan Pronto. Your home equity can rescue you right now. Your home's value is still way up, and there's a ton of cash that you can get. Loan Pronto specializes in zero-cost cash-out home refis. Get tens of thousands in as little as 2 weeks. Pay off credit cards and consolidate everything into one super low payment. People who do this usually cut around $800 from their monthly budget. And even if your home mortgage rate goes up a little bit, it's offset by your credit card rate going to zero. When rates come back down, Loan Pronto will refinance you again for free. Call Loan Pronto. Do it now. You can even skip your next 2 house payments altogether. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
C10 Nationals, the world's largest Chevy and GMC truck event, is coming to the Nashville Super Speedway September 30th and October 1st. Packed with vendors and activities, autocross, swap meet, dyno, drag race, and more. Daily tickets are $20 at the gate and parking is free. More info at c10nationals.com. And now, 102.5, 106.3 The Game wants to send you to C10 Nationals. Text Nationals to our contest line, 615-737-1025, for your chance to join in the festivities.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe, and every season is screwball season in my house. No matter the time of year, that rich, smooth taste just hits the spot. Y'all know Screwball. It's made with real whiskey, peanuts, and peanut butter, and it's just flat out delicious. It's my favorite. However you take it, as a shot, in an espresso martini, or a peanut butter old-fashioned, make it a Screwball peanut butter whiskey. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2022 Screwball Spirits, LLC, San Diego, California. Whiskey with natural flavors, 35% alcohol by volume.
Hey, it's Hutton for the Low T Center. Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Schedule your complete health assessment at Low T Center. They now offer the convenience of monitored self-injected home testosterone treatments for $155 a month cash pay or covered by most health insurance. If you don't live near a Low T Center or you just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy to get started. Only your first 2 visits are in person. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game. Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. I say a lot of things, and then when I say a lot of things and people don't want to hear it, they come up with whatever excuse they want to have to not believe it. One of them is, what do you know about football? What do you know? You don't know any. You never coached. You never played. You don't know anything. Like, guys, Isaiah Thomas is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. He was a horrendous broadcaster, even worse coach, and truly one of the worst presidents in the history of the NBA. So, I mean, Zeke doesn't know anything, so what are we doing here? But can't make that argument with D-Mace. And so I was critical of the Caleb Farley pick when they made it, mainly because of the back injury. And then he got hurt, tore his ACL the first year, and he's a first-round draft choice, and we know the Titans have struggled with their first-round draft choices as of late. And so I get out to training camp, and I watch Caleb Farley. And remember that secret practice Mike Vrabel talked about before the start of training camp where Farley had 2 interceptions? Mm-hmm. Well, in the non-secret practices, Caleb Farley was terrible, getting beat by Racey McMath for deep touchdown after deep touchdown. He then got beat for a deep touchdown by Vincent Smith of the Buccaneers. Blaine Gabbert just missed the throw. He then in the Buccaneers game got beat deep by Scotty Miller, but Kyle Trask missed the throw. He then got beat by, I want to say it was Julio Jones maybe? No, he got beat by somebody in the Arizona practice. I can't remember who. Got beat by somebody in an Arizona practice, and he was not good. And then he got out there in the Bills game, and he was terrible. Not just Stephon Diggs, but Jake Kummerow, their 5th receiver.
And it wasn't like he just got beat by Stephon Diggs, because if you get beat by Stephon Diggs, I mean, join the club. It was the fact that he went the complete opposite direction of Stephon
Yeah,
Diggs.
that was just losing his guy. So he doesn't know where to go. He doesn't know where to be. And when he does know where to go and he does know where to be, he actually can't get there and he can't cover. And to me, it's pretty obvious that I think the Titans are moving on. The fact that they kept Terrence Mitchell out there on the field, who they signed on Wednesday, the whole game against the Raiders, doesn't tell me anything about Terrence Mitchell, no matter how mad you all get about it. But it tells me a lot about Caleb Farley. But people will say, Jared, you don't know. He was young. He was hurt at Virginia Tech. He's just learning how to play football again. Give him a chance. He's right on target. He's going to be fine. Fine. You could say that to me. But Derek Mason did play in the NFL. Derek Mason did go up against the best corners of an era in which you really had great cornerback play. It was kind of the era where the elite athlete met the physical corner. Now you can't be that physical anymore. But D-Mason, Deion Sanders was in his era, and Champ Bailey was in his era, and Charles Woodson was in his era, and these DBs that were really good, they played in his era. And D-Mace says, Caleb Farley, yeah, not only is he not going to work out as a first-round pick, he's not going to work out as a defensive back.
I look at Caleb Farley, and from my experience, and I've seen this before, he's not a defensive back. He's not. They can't make him a defensive back. Yes, he has the measurables, long arms, he's tall, he's thin, but he doesn't have the things that make cornerbacks really good or great. He doesn't have instinct. He doesn't have hip fluidity. He doesn't have, meaning he can't get in and out of his breaks.
Okay.
See, that's
he
what I'm
has
getting
no
at.
awareness
That's
of what's
troubling to
going
me.
on.
Think about that. Derek says he can't play defensive back in the NFL. Like, can't play it. Well, then what is he going to play?
Well, Derek did say on Monday the Titans' best shot with him is to try to move him to safety and see if they can salvage anything with him at safety.
But even right there, he's like, he can't play DB.
Yeah.
And, okay, let's play him at safety. Who are you playing him over?
Yeah, I'm not playing him over Amani Hooker. Kevin
Over
Byard.
14 million or 11 million?
No.
So
then he doesn't have a place on the. If he needs to move to safety, then he doesn't have a place on this team.
He can't play. I mean, like, guys, he can't play. And I know you're thinking to yourself, that's not fair. He only got in that one game after he was hurt all of the 2020 year and then had that back surgery right before the draft and then got hurt last year. And so he got a couple of games in there. And now you're telling me that he can't play? Yes. And the reason is because the Titans took him on a prayer. The Titans saw something in that 2019 tape and 2 years later decided to draft it. Even though I had never heard of Caleb Farley until the draft.
I hadn't either.
So it wasn't like
I didn't
Sean
watch any
Taylor at
Virginia Tech
Miami
football.
or Jamar Chase, who took a year off because he just, quite frankly, didn't want to get hurt and play with a bunch of losers.
Fair.
I mean, Caleb Farley got hurt. And so they must have loved something about that 2019 tape, but he didn't run at the combine. He didn't have a pro day. He didn't do any of that stuff. They took him with the 21st pick. It's been an unmitigated disaster. And Derek even continued on saying that not only does he not have the instincts and the hip fluidity and the actual God-given ability to play the position, but that mentally, as far as where he needs to be in terms of playbook knowledge and everything else, he's not there.
If anybody tells me, you got to give him another year, he'll learn it. Ain't no way in hell, okay, after 2 years, because it's been 2 years, that you don't know the playbook, we can't use you. You haven't learned it yet. You're not learning it. We cannot put you out there. I would be surprised, and I will eat my words, if he becomes a quality defensive back in this league.
I mean, this is the best wide receiver who ever played for the Titans. This isn't, again, everybody says, I say something and it's like, oh, Jared, you don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy. What do you know, Jared? What do you? You can't say that to D. Mace. You can't say that. The guy's played too much football in his life for you to be able to say that. The guy, he was just nominated for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So you can't say that he doesn't know what he's talking about. And this matches up with the fact that he got beat deep, in my opinion, at training camp. He got beat deep more than any defensive back on that team, including guys I have never heard of. And he got beat deep more than them. And the Titans can pretend like they didn't give opportunities to guys because of where they were drafted. Bull crap. They gave Farley as much of an opportunity to get out on the field as possible. When training camp started, Christian Fulton started at one corner spot, and Caleb Farley started at another corner spot. And it took about a week before Roger McCreary proved that he was a much, much better player. Dylan Radin started at right tackle all throughout OTAs. Dylan Radin was there for the first 2 weeks, started the first game at right tackle, and then right after that, PT was right in and never looked back because it took 2 weeks for Nicholas Petit-Ferrer to prove that he was better than Dylan Radin. And it wasn't that those guys, now like McCreary is a legitimate ball player. Like I love watching Roger McCreary play, but it wasn't so much about those guys as much as it was the guys drafted in the 21 class just straight up can't play. I mean, we've talked about this with Radins. They wanted him so badly to be the right tackle. They wanted it. They tried to will it into existence of just because I drafted him there and I want him to do it, I'm going to believe he can do it, which was incredibly irresponsible by the Tennessee Titans to do that.
Yes.
But they gave him every chance. Not only could he not be the starting right tackle, he couldn't be the number one backup. They had to go trade for another guy to come in and be the swing.
And he couldn't even play guard.
And then the left tackle got hurt, and they didn't replace him with Radins, so he can't play backup left tackle. He can't play starting right tackle, and he can't play guard over a guy who's 270 pounds. And all these teams are going to do is exactly what the Raiders did in the game on Sunday, which is stick 340-pound Jonathan Hankins right over 280-pound Aaron Brewer and just push them backwards. And if Radens could play guard, he would be playing guard. Only 2 players on the Titans were active on Sunday and did not get in the game. That was Malik Willis, and the backup quarterback should not play in a game, and Radens. So not even the field goal team. Jordan Roos, get out there. I mean, then they did the same thing for the most part with Farley. Now, they were able to draft McCreary, which there was at least a little competition there, which was good, and ultimately they needed it because they need McCreary on the field. But they tried to give that position to Farley. They released Jack Rabbit Jenkins because they looked at their team last year and said, Jack Rabbit at one corner spot, Fulton at the other corner spot, Molden in the slot, and they released Jack Rabbit Jenkins and didn't sign a veteran corner because they looked at it like Fulton at one corner spot, Farley at the other corner spot, Molden in the slot. And he can't play. I mean, this 21 draft class, it's irresponsible. And again, you all can tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. You could say, Jared, he's young. Jared, he's hurt. Jared, he hasn't played a lot of football. Jared, he's got to get an opportunity. But when Mike Vrabel was asked about confidence yesterday, it wasn't, I have all the confidence in the world in Farley. It was, we have confidence in everybody who's here, including the practice squad.
And
that
I can't speak on another man's confidence.
Well, he would say that about anybody. But it was not a ringing endorsement. It was not. And so, I mean, again, you all are entitled to believe whatever you want. But I've been trying to tell you guys for weeks that Farley is awful. And now Derek is telling you that he doesn't even think he's a defensive back in the NFL. That is crazy.
And you can say, well, he's been hurt. Okay.
Derek's not saying that, though.
No, but Derek said he doesn't even understand this defense. He's been here long enough. He needs to understand the defense. That's not an ACL thing. That's not he hasn't been able to get out on the field, so he needs some time to get reacclimated. That's a classroom thing.
And I don't even know that. Like, I don't know that. I know the one
That's
play
what
that
Derek said.
I know the one play that he screwed up on Stephon Diggs. But
he
a lot of guys screw up on a lot of plays on this team, so it wouldn't be the first one. But I mean, he can't cover. I mean, he cannot. Basic coverage. Just go look at the Jake Cumrow throw. Cumrow didn't do anything. He just ran up the side, and Allen just lollipopped it there. There's nothing special about that play, and Farley can't cover it. He can't play. He stinks. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. This morning, I did an exercise about the Titans 21 draft class. It is shocking what that 21 draft class may end up becoming. We'll get to that next. Stillman & Company, 615-737-1025. Caroline, tell us about the Caesars Sportsbook app.
It is time for the Caesars Sportsbook Report. Now, first thing is first, your first bet with Caesars. It's on Caesars, up to $1,250. Just download the app and use the promo code RadioFull, one word, RadioFull, and then place your first bet. If you win, then congratulations, but if not, you'll get that stake back as a free bet. So I'm looking at the Thursday night football game tomorrow night. Give me the Bengals, -4. I think the Dolphins might have a little bit of a hangover after beating the Bills, but that's my take. Do it how you want to do it. Just do it with the Caesars Sportsbook app. Open to users in Tennessee who are 21 or older. If qualifying bet loses, bet amount returned as a credit. Must use within 14 days. Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. Caesars Sportsbook. You bet, you get.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman & Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Looking for a big diamond? Genesis Diamonds introduces our Elite Collection, all new for this year. These are large, rare diamonds in the top 1% of the world. 3 carat, 4 carat, 5 carat, up to 10 carat precious diamonds for the most discriminating buyers who appreciate quality. Genesis owners travel worldwide, tapping a vast network of diamond cutters, carefully hand-selecting each of these remarkable diamonds. We invite you to view this premium collection of GIA-certified diamonds, rounds, cushion cuts, emerald cuts, even fancy colored diamonds in size and quality never before seen here. And to showcase these exquisite engraved stones, only Genesis has the finest handcrafted rings from all the world-class designers. If 2020 is the year you're upgrading her original diamond, or you just want to go big for the first time, no need to travel to New York or Los Angeles or Antwerp. Genesis Diamonds' elite collection of large, precious diamonds is here in Nashville. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's... Nah, they're not that type of superhero. They're the betting heroes. BettingHero.com helps savvy and first-time bettors select the best sports betting site for your experience level and alerts you to the best promotions and deals. Visit BettingHero.com today and get thousands of dollars in free sports bets, including risk-free offers where everyone's a winner. They're not a sports book. BettingHero.com is your guide to sports books. Cape not included. BettingHero.com supports responsible gaming and encourages moderation and self-exclusion where prudent.
Golfers, now in Edwin Watts Golf Shops, it's time to hit faster, longer, and straighter with Titleist. The new TSR drivers are designed to maximize distance and elevate your performance. Titleist TSR driver, pushing for perfection every day. Come into Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the new Titleist TSR drivers and get custom fit for free today. Can't make it in store? Visit us online at worldwidegolfshops.com. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee and family owned and operated since 1968.
We gather together in communities across the nation to remember and honor, to celebrate and support, to light the night. We are LLS, and when we walk, cancer runs. Find your local event at lightthenight.org.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
The Tennessee Titans select Caleb Farley, defensive back, Virginia Tech.
Todd McShay's
Caleb Farley.
Let me tell you something. But here's the deal: is you're going into the season with question marks. I mean, when if you could have drafted those other guys, Newsome or Ojulari, you don't have any question marks. With Caleb Farley, you don't know if he's explosive. You don't know if he can, run or anything like that, because everybody was talking about that he's fluid and fast. Okay, I want to see the individual workouts, but you don't know because he didn't have an individual workout. So it's so many question marks, and I'm not disrespecting, yes, I am, dangummit. I'm going to. It was a terrible pick. I mean, it was. And I'm not saying it's a terrible pick because he's not a good player. It's a terrible pick is because you don't know if this guy's healthy or not.
With the 53rd pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Dylan Radunz, tackle, North Dakota State.
Who the hell is that?
You see the
Who is that?
Who in Sam E?
Who is that?
They wanted Marshall.
Oh, my God. Who is that?
He's so silly.
Who is this?
He's from North Dakota State.
TD, who the hell is this? There you go. The 2021 draft. A draft to be remembered for forever for the horrendousness of it.
A draft that shall live in infamy, if you will.
By the way, Ben Arthur left the Tennessee, and I don't know if you noticed this. Ben Arthur left the Tennessee.
He's going to Fox Sports.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Came out of nowhere for me. I was like, oh, Ben Arthur left the Tennessean.
It's because of those couple hours that you were off Twitter, probably.
I guess. So Mike Organ wrote a story in the Tennessean. I guess he's probably going to be on the Titans beat here for a hot second. Headline, why Caleb Farley's playing time with the Titans is dropped off and what it means for his future. I don't need to read the article, Mike. And I love you. I love Mike Organ. I don't need to read the article, Mike. It means he stinks. Now, think about this. I went back and I literally looked this up this morning. This draft class, this 2021 draft class, may go down as the worst draft class in the history of the Tennessee Titans, which is now like a 25-year history. Tell me if you think any of these guys will start for an entire season in the NFL.
Okay.
Caleb Farley.
No.
Dylan Radunz.
No.
Monty Rice.
No.
Elijah Molden.
Maybe.
Des Fitzpatrick.
No.
Rashad Weaver.
Maybe.
Racey McMath. Brady Breeze.
No.
Okay. So maybe Weaver and maybe Molden.
If he can stay healthy.
And again, like with Molden, maybe. And because it's weird because nickel's not a starting spot, but it kind of is in today's game. Weaver, I don't think Weaver will ever start in the NFL. I think Weaver is, a perfect backup pass rusher that comes in the game on a 3rd and 13 so that Harold Landry doesn't have to play 99% of the snaps when Landry's out there. And I don't think Weaver will be counted as a starter this year because they'll start, DeMarcus Walker and Kevin Strong and all those guys. But the reason I bring this up is because every single year, the Titans have either had a Pro Bowler or more starters in a draft. 99, Javon Curse. So once I say one Pro Bowler, that draft instantly becomes better than this draft, right? Because there's no way you're getting a Pro Bowler out of this draft.
No.
99, Javon Curse. 2000, Keith Bullock. The 2001 draft class between Andre Dyson and Justin McCarron, the Titans got 11 starting seasons. So somebody who was considered a starter for an entire season, they got 11 starting seasons out of it.
Solid draft.
They're not getting 11 starting seasons out of this.
No.
Out of the 2021 class. 2002, Albert Haynesworth. 2003. This is the one that will give it a run for its money. Chris Brown started 2 seasons for the Titans in the 2003 draft. He's the only guy who started. Now, he did have a 1,000-yard season as a running back.
Still more starting seasons than Caleb Farley and Dylan Radins.
So he's going to have 2 starting seasons.
That's already better.
But we'll see. Maybe these guys will figure it out. The 2004 draft was rather unremarkable, but for some reason, because Randy Starks ended up playing a lot of games for the Miami Dolphins, he ended up getting 8 starting seasons, but Ben Troop had 2, Travis LeBoy had 3, Anton Odom had 4, Jacob Bell, an offensive lineman, was a starter for 7 years.
All with the Titans?
Yeah, and Eugene Amano, not all these guys all with the Titans, but all in their careers. But Jacob Bell had 7 seasons as a starting offensive lineman with the Titans. Eugene Amano in the 7th round, 4 seasons as a starter.
That's pretty good.
That's going to be better than this draft class.
Yeah.
2005, Pac-Man Jones, Pro Bowler in the 1st round. Michael Roos, Pro Bowler in the 2nd round. Floyd's last draft, 2006. Here's what's crazy. This draft class, 2021, maybe Elijah Molden will get credited for a season as a starter in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Vince Young went to 2 Pro Bowls and was Rookie of the Year. So Vince Young, who is considered a bust, Vince Young alone will accomplish more than this entire draft class. That also doesn't factor in the fact that Cortland Finnegan was taken in the 7th round of that draft class, and that he made not only a Pro Bowl, but was also first-team All-Pro. So congratulations to Floyd for nailing a Pro Bowler in the 7th round in his last draft ever as a general manager.
Impressive.
And that goes back to why this draft was so bad. Now, some of these Fisher and Rustin Webster drafts were pretty horrendous, but they still end up with more starters and more starting seasons than what I think they're going to get out of this class. This class, the 2003 draft class, and the 2005 draft class, which was really Mariota and a bunch of nothing, the 15 and 2003, they are going to give this draft class right now, if I had to bet, I would say is going to be a worse draft class than those. That there will not be, I would think, maybe 1 starting season out of Molden. That might be it. And the other just eye-popping, issue with this, going back to Derek Mason saying on the midday show yesterday that Caleb Farley cannot play defensive back in the NFL. He's a backup. Henry Ford, the Titans took him in the 1st round in 94. He was a defensive end from Arkansas, and he couldn't lose any weight, so they ended up moving him to defensive tackle. And he was a rotational defensive lineman for about 6 years or so with the Titans. He was a solid player, but he never was kind of like the player they thought he was going to be. But at least he's still a backup in the NFL. In this case, Derek says that Farley can't play defensive back in the NFL. We know Radins can't play offensive line, or else he'd be on the offensive line. Des Fitzpatrick has been cut in training camp twice by this football team. I mean, even the other day, Vrabel was asked about how Weaver's doing, and Vrabel was like,
he gets tired.
Yeah, he got tired out there because he's a one-trick pony pass rusher. And that's fine for the 4th round. That's not a bad pick. But, I mean, goodness gracious, people, this draft, this is an all-timer for bad.
At what point, if at all, do we look at the coaching staff and say, maybe they're bad picks, but maybe they were fine picks that couldn't be coached up into legitimate NFL starters?
It's the same coaching staff that coached the 19 class and the 21 class. I mean, the 22 class. So the 22 class is going to have Traylon Burks is probably going to start in the NFL. Roger McCreary is already a starter.
Yeah.
And Nicholas Petit-Frere is already a starter. So they've already got 2 legitimate starters out of this draft class. And so the same guys that were coaching there, like PT, when I watch the tape, Nicholas Petit-Ferrer's getting better.
Yeah.
He's getting better as a tackle in the NFL. He still struggles.
He's a fine player.
And he still doesn't know who to block half the time. But he's got, good projection, and he's got potential. He's got a shot. Same guy's coaching him as coaching Dylan Radins. It's just a bad draft. I mean, just an all-time bad draft. All-time bad. And I don't know that there's any way to talk it out of it when these guys literally can't even be backups. I mean, that's the scary part.
If you just want to take the Raiders game as like a small sample size, even when Terrence Mitchell couldn't stop a nosebleed, Caleb Farley still wasn't a better alternative.
Yeah, there's a reason why. Terrence Mitchell stayed out there. 615-737-1025. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. What do we have in the text line?
One texter texts in and says, can we just admit that John Robinson is a bad general manager?
I can't do that. I can't do that. I can slam the guy for a bad draft just like I can slam Vrabel for coaching a bad game on Sunday. It was a bad game on Sunday that was coached by Mike Vrabel. And I will say it. And, I mean, no matter what happens, that Vrabel could go out there and work Frank Reich on Sunday, and it wouldn't shock me because I don't have a ton of respect for Frank Reich. Vrabel could go out there and work Frank Reich on Sunday, and I could totally hear, what do you think about Vrabel now? I still thought the dichotomy in thinking between going for it on 4th and 4 on the 40 and not going for it on 4th and 1 at the 40 is stupid. And I will still believe that. I think Vrabel coached a bad game. Robinson had a bad draft. But they've had 6 seasons with him as the general manager, and they've had 6 winning seasons. And so they've made the playoffs all but 2 years with him as the general manager. They were the number 1 seed in the AFC last year. They threw 3 interceptions. I'm sorry. You want bad general manager, go to the New York Jets. You want bad general manager, go to these teams that cannot get their head out of their rear ends on a consistent basis, because that's not what's going on around here. So I can't say it. And plus, this draft, I mean, Treylon Burks, he's got a lot of potential. And Roger McCreary is a really, really good player already. And so I'm not going to do that. I will not say Robinson's a bad general manager because I don't believe it. There are a lot of general managers who don't even get 7 years, much less win every single year that they're there. It's an unfair standard.
But I do think that fans have every right to be frustrated with John Robinson for the poor drafting in 2021 and the fact that the Titans are kind of getting hit for it now and probably will continue to feel the effects of that draft. You can acknowledge that while also acknowledging that John Robinson has done a fine job outside of the 2021 draft.
So GMing
and the first round of 2020.
GMing always hits you a couple years after you make the mistake, which is the thing that fans have got to understand. The mistakes of 2020 are being paid for now. You know, that 2003 draft class that had 2 starts from Chris Brown, 2 full starting seasons from Chris Brown, and that was it. Andre Woolfolk, Tyrone Calico, Ryan Long, all those guys, they all sucked. Outside of that, Floyd got let go after the 2006 season. So that 03 draft hit, and it wasn't until Eddie George, Derek Mason, Kevin Carter, Steve McNair, all those guys were gone, that then, fans wanted results right now, and they weren't, and it wasn't the fans who wanted Floyd out, it was Bud Adams and Underwood and Jeff Fisher. And so, they we want better results right now. And because of the bad drafting, they were set back. Now, Floyd ended up, as we talked about with Finnegan and with Vince Young at the beginning and some of these other guys, the Antoine Odoms and the other players that they did hit on, that's why they made the playoffs in 2007, 2008. It's funny. Floyd got let go after the 06 season. They made the playoffs in 2007. They made the playoffs in 2008. And then they didn't make the playoffs again until 2017. Why? Bad GMing. But it takes a couple of years for Jeff Fisher's bullcrap to catch up with the team. And then once it did, all of Floyd's players were gone. Keith Bullock was gone. Albert Hainsworth was gone. All of them were gone. And now it's all Jeff Fisher's players. And other than Chris Johnson, he couldn't draft anybody. And so GMing takes a couple of years before you really feel the effect of bad GMing. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing I have to tell fans, constantly remind you of is, that, look, it looks like Robinson did a good job with this 21 class, which should 22. The 22 class, which should give some optimism. The 21 class is horrendous. I mean, I don't know what happened to them. I do not know. You know, you can make the excuse of COVID for 2020. I don't really like the COVID excuse.
Everyone was in the same boat.
It didn't stop the Buffalo Bills from drafting Gabriel Davis.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it is, but it didn't stop them. But goodness gracious, the 2 COVID years were the Titans awful at drafting. And 19 and 22, the 2 years outside of the COVID year, you know, the 19 class was fantastic. And it looks like the 22 class is going to be okay. 615-737-1025. We'll rattle in some more of your phones. 615-737-1025. And I do wonder, is there anybody out there that still has any hope for Caleb Farley? Stillman and Company right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, Preds fans.
Sliding across to make the save is Sarah.
You can now hear Nashville's best sports talk.
The back-hander, he scores!
And every Predators game on 106.3 FM.
Oh, that was a thing of beauty.
From downtown Nashville to Rutherford and Williamson counties.
Duchesne with the overtime winner.
Catch all the action on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Hey, it's Mike from Newton Ford South. The weather's starting to get cooler, and you know what that means. It's time for football. I don't know about you, but I've been waiting all year for this. Did you know that the most overtimes ever played in a football game is 7? That's almost 3 full games. It's crazy. I can't imagine sitting there for that long. Here at Newton, we know your time is valuable, especially during football season. We have ways to keep you cheering for your team without sitting and waiting. If your car needs some work, you can schedule online anytime. You can drop your car off at your convenience, and we'll update you when it's ready. On top of that, if you're shopping for a new car, we have Newton Fast Pass. It's the fast and easy way to shop from home. You can walk through the entire process from your couch. We can even deliver the car to your home. So no more missing games. Watch them all. Visit NewtonFordSouth.com to start shopping or schedule your service today.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick, the type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera, and the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
Root for safeties this season with your friends at Superbook Sports. Hey, it's Chase McCabe. If you bet with Superbook this football season, they will give you a $50 bonus if a safety is scored on a Sunday. From a punter running out of the end zone to the plain old quarterback sack worth 2 points, root for chaos and win money with Superbook this fall. Download the Superbook Tennessee app right now and start rooting for 2 with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 800-889-9789.
Hey, it's Hutton. Guys, do you need an annual health exam? I recommend going to Low T Center to get your complete health assessment. They will check all of your levels, not just your T level. In most cases, it's completely covered by your health insurance. And if you don't have insurance, it's less than $100 for a full lab panel and an office visit with their medical provider to give you a complete health assessment. Low T Center specializes in men's health, making it quick and easy, even verifying your insurance. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care.
Fall is finally here, and you know what that means. The Nashville Oktoberfest in Germantown. With VIP tickets, you have all-day access to a dedicated private bar, unlimited Bavarian fare and drinks, luxury bathrooms, and a beer and whiskey tasting. It's first-class accommodations to enjoy the festival in style. Grab your Oktoberfest VIP tickets at thenashvilleoktoberfest.com. The Nashville Oktoberfest 2022, Thursday, October 6th through Sunday, October 9th at Bicentennial Mall in Germantown. Prost, y'all!
Join us for the Thursday edition of Robbie and Rex Road on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We'll be joined by our good friend Jared Stillman at 7 o'clock. We'll continue to look ahead to the Titans and the Colts as well, and lots of preseason hockey coming up for the Predators. All of it on the table. It starts at 6 o'clock, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, Nashville. This is David Price. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
I look at Caleb Farley, and from my experience, and I've seen this before, he's not a defensive back. He's not. They can't make him a defensive back. Yes, he has the measurables, long arms. He's tall, he's thin, but he doesn't have the things that make cornerbacks, really good or great. He doesn't have instinct. He doesn't have hip fluidity. He doesn't have, meaning he can't get in and out of his breaks.
Okay. See, that's what
he
I'm
has
getting
no
at.
awareness
That's
of what's
troubling to
going
me.
on.
There you go. That was Derek Mason saying he doesn't think that he can play in the NFL for Caleb Farley. I do want to tell people, join 102.5, 106.3 The Game Sunday following the Titans-Colts game with Jonathan Hutton and Chad Withrow, live from the Superbook Lounge and Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on Broadway. Post-game show brought to you by Renter's Warehouse, Two Rivers Ford, and Superbook Sports, voted the #1 sports book in Vegas. Download their app today. Let's go to your phones on, Caleb Farley. Somebody tweeted me and said, why are you talking about Farley, Jared? He's not going to play against the Colts. Let's talk about people that are going to play against the Colts. I'm like, that's the problem, that he's not going to play.
He's a first-round pick who's not playing against the Colts.
Let me tell you this.
Depleted secondary.
Unless you were Sean Taylor, I would not draft a defensive back in the first round. Unless you're that good.
Well, you also don't value corners.
I don't. I think that, try to think of who the best corner in the NFL is right now. Probably Jair Alexander in Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's the best corner. I think he's the best man-for-man corner in the NFL right now. And Green Bay's just fine without him. He gets hurt all the time. I mean, I got to tell you, I watch what Aaron Donald does, and I watch what these pass rushers do, and have the Buffalo Bills really missed Tre'Davious White? No. And he might be the best corner in the NFL.
Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey's getting toasted out there right now. I mean, to me, it's about the pass rush. So I don't, to me, it doesn't matter. I mean, Fulton's great when they get to the quarterback, and when they don't get to the quarterback, Fulton's not great. The days of the physical DB are gone. I want a ball-hawking safety. Like, if I was an NFL team, if I had a Monty Hooker as a safety, like, I'd feel okay there. I'd feel good about Amani Hooker as my main safety. And other than that, I can get guys in the secondary. Because as much as we want to crap on Terrence Mitchell, and I don't feel that way about him at all. But if they had gotten to Derek Carr on that 4th down pass, he never would have been able to make it. But instead, he took his 4-step drop, and then he ran all the way up to launch the ball as far as he could because he wasn't worried about pressure up the middle. Well, because the Titans are trying to pressure off the edge. If the Titans had Harold Landry, Bud Dupree, and then Simmons and Autry in the middle, he's not running right up the middle. And that's why I think that that's important. What else we got?
One texter texts in and says, have we forgotten that Caleb Farley is still coming off of an injury? Give him time.
Why do I care about that? So here's the thing about the NFL. Caleb Farley gets 4 years, right? 4 years. 5 if he's good in the first 3 and they pick up the 5th-year option. And right now it doesn't look very promising for that to become a reality. So you get 4 years. So he's hurt the first year, and he can't play the second year. So every pick should be held accountable by the 3rd or 4th year? No. I mean, Corey Davis, for where he was taken, was not good enough. And he was way better than Farley. I mean, the reality is, Derek's telling you that he cannot play, that his hips can't play, that his athleticism can't play, his game awareness can't play. I mean, we've seen it, and it's not. You know what's crazy? Is I keep going back to training camp, and maybe I was just looking for it more because Farley was a name player because of where he was drafted, but he got burned multiple times by Racey McMath. He got burned by Vincent Smith, who got cut the following day after the Titans-Buccaneers game. He got burned by Scotty Miller. He got beat by the Ravens' 4th stringers in the first preseason game. He got annihilated by Jake Kummerow, who I only know of his existence because Aaron Rodgers threw a fit when Green Bay cut him 3 years ago. So he's getting burned by all these random guys that are bottom of the roster receivers. And then when I think back to training camp, I don't remember Trey Avery getting beat every single practice or every other practice. I don't remember Shakur Brown or Shaheem Carter or some of these other guys that were out there at corner, or Greg Mabin, or these guys constantly, and me saying, who was that? And it constantly being like, oh, that was Shaheem Carter that got beat. Oh, that was Mabin that got beat deep. I don't remember Kevin Byard talking about these guys after practice saying, it's easy to say that he had a bad play, but maybe he has a good play when you don't see him throw the ball to. No, but he was about Farley. He's awful in that Buccaneers practice. I don't remember Mike Vrabel having a press conference in which he said that Shaheem Carter stayed up all night because he was so excited to scrimmage against the Buccaneers that he was terrible that day. But that's what Vrabel said about Farley. Enough with the excuses. When it's like, well, he was hurt. Enough of the excuses. He can't play. They drafted him because it was like, hey, this guy's so good that if he just gets healthy, he's like a top 5 pick in this draft. And he can't play. He can't play over Trey Avery. He can't play over Lonnie Johnson. He can't play over Terrence Mitchell. He can't play. Well, I got worked up there. What's next?
Fred Nash in City texts in and says TD has picked better players to target in the first round for the last few years than John Robinson.
Yeah, we have been on that. That's pretty disappointing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love TD to death. And he
TD
knows
puts in
this stuff.
so much work with the draft.
But he shouldn't be doing a better job than the general manager.
No.
That is a huge red flag. The fact that,
the fact that there's anyone other than your general manager that could potentially draft better than your general manager is incredibly shocking.
It's like a lot of people think that they can do a better job than me on the radio, and I'm sure maybe there are some people out there who can. But a lot of the people who say that they can do a better job than me really can't. Can't just stick a microphone in front of somebody and say, all right, here you go, 4 hours, knock yourselves out, and be good at it. It's very, very difficult. And I understand the idea of picking players in the NFL is incredibly difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I had Floyd tell me that one time he had a coach that was excellent about assessing that player's position. Let's just say it was, defensive end. And so this coach is great at telling you who's a good defensive end, who's a bad defensive end, who's a situational pass rusher, who's good on all 4 great. He goes, but I couldn't trust that coach to tell me who was better for my team, the pass rusher or the wide receiver. Mm-hmm. And that's the hard part of that job. It's a hard job.
There are so many different pieces to look at, so many different pros and cons to weigh. I understand that.
But to not get a single starter out of a draft is embarrassing.
And you're not going to hit on every pick.
No.
You got to hit on some.
But that's bad. Mark is up next on the Tennessee Volunteers popularity. I kind of hate this, where we talked about something an hour ago and then somebody wants to weigh in it now. But go ahead, Mark. Mark, go. All right. It says Vol's popular in there. Oh, this drives me insane. I hate talking about something that we talked about an hour ago, and then the person wants to weigh in on it and then sit there and say, oh, well, you guys said an hour ago. The people that are listening now weren't listening then. It drives me insane. And then the second part is the guy wasn't there when we picked it up.
Well, then that's a good sign.
I don't
then.
know what
we don't
I
have
don't
to talk
know,
to him.
I
We don't have to go
what
back
the
to that
take
conversation.
Is. What could the take it possibly be?
Probably is a Vols fan saying the Vols are popular in Nashville.
That they're more popular than the Titans, as the other texter put out there and said that the Vols game got a better rating than the Titan game when it in fact did not get a better rating than the Titan game.
Well, Braden Gall tweeted out that the Titans-Bills game got a 17-6 and the Tennessee-Florida game got an 18-7.
Okay, one game's on cable, the other one's not. I mean,
I'm just saying what people are referencing is this tweet.
That's what they're referencing? Why don't we reference the game that happened on Saturday compared to the game on Sunday, in which it was not close? It was not close. Titans had a 22-something. The Vols had a 17. By TV rating standards, that's not close. Ridiculous. 615. Hey, what was the Vols in Akron? That would be the one that would be comparable to Buffalo. What was the Vols in Akron, people? What rating did that game get?
I do not know. Let me give it a 9.
Also, here's another thought. How many people you think tuned out of the Titans-Bills game in the second half?
A whole lot of them.
There you go. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Our friend Corey Curtis, he always pumps his Facebook page because I think the bosses at News 2 care about that. And for some reason, I like his Facebook page.
That's nice of you.
And he put his power rankings up. You know, Corey comes on, he talks about his power rankings all the time.
Yep.
Corey put something in his power rankings that I love Corey, but I almost have to kind of roll my eyes on. We'll get to that next. Stillman & Company, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
Silly Underdog Picks is back. Get your friends and sign up today at thegamenashville.com. Pick the 3 football underdog teams each week you think will win for a chance to win weekly prizes. Like a pair of tickets to a sporting event or to a concert in Nashville. Oh, yeah! Go to theGameNashville.com or the Game Nashville app and sign up and play now. Then tune in every Thursday at noon for our expert picks. Silly Underdogs is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Our beautiful weather continues as we head into Thursday and Friday. Mainly clear and chilly overnight with lows in the upper 40s. Sunshine on the way for Thursday. Highs a bit warmer in the mid-70s. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
There are jewelry stores, and then there's Genesis Diamonds, the cutting-edge industry leader, the pioneer. It's no secret that jewelry stores across America watch what Genesis is doing. Genesis was the first to offer a free lifetime warranty, the first to offer a 110% diamond upgrade guarantee, the first to offer aggressive long-term zero-interest financing. And Genesis is always on the cutting edge in design and fashion. The styles other jewelers say are new and exciting were new and exciting for us 4 years ago. Genesis has the fashion-forward brands other stores aren't even allowed to carry. It's no wonder you see jewelers from other cities coming to Genesis to see what we're all about, and even buy their wives' jewelry from us. For selection, quality, service, warranties, and guarantees, Genesis leads. Others follow. So for diamonds, engagement rings, exclusive designer jewelry for any occasion, don't compromise. Come to the jeweler that sets the industry standards year after year. Genesis Diamonds and pre-owned Rolexes, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture eats strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with three-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah! The big dog's got it.
Craneworks is ready to help lift Nashville. As the Southeast's most trusted name in crane and equipment rental for over 30 years, Craneworks offers certified operators to make sure the job is done right. Rentalworks has a diverse fleet of equipment to assist in any project, big or small. From forklifts to carry deck cranes, they have it all. When it's time for your next lift, machinery moving, or rigging project, call Craneworks. Visit craneworks.com.
We gather together in communities across the nation to remember and honor, to celebrate and support, to light the night. We are LLS, and when we walk, cancer runs. Find your local event at lightthenight.org.
Yo, Pablo Torre here, host of the ESPN Daily Podcast. When you want to go beyond your feed, when you want to get inside the score, when you want to get behind the highlight, there's ESPN Daily. Go deeper into the stories of the moment. Get the exclusive access and insider perspective that only ESPN can give you. ESPN Daily, hosted by me, Pablo Torre. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Chase McCabe.
The best way to figure that out is to watch Twitter.
Willie Donick.
Trying to move down the field for the winning field goal.
And Derek Mason.
I'm putting in my hours and I'm out of here.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Hey, be sure to tune in to the Preds season preview show tonight coming up after us at 6 o'clock. Max Hers, Pete Weber, Hal Gill. They'll be joined by Predators general manager David Poyle and head coach John Hines. That's the Preds season preview show, and we will be live tomorrow at Bridgestone Arena for the Predators in Tampa Bay. That game was supposed to be in Tampa. Obviously, it's been moved here for the Hurricane. Hope everybody in Florida is doing okay. And then we'll be at Bridgestone Arena on Friday as well. So be excited about that. So, Corey Curtis years ago came on the program one time and shamelessly plugged his Facebook page. So I guess like the bosses at News 2 wanted a lot of people to...
They love Facebook.
They wanted a lot of people to like Corey Curtis's Facebook page, WKRN Corey Curtis.
Powered by Zuckerberg.
I guess. I would assume so. Meta. So anywho, so Corey Curtis every Tuesday puts out his power rankings. And I love it when he talks about his power rankings because he'll come on the show on Friday and he'll talk about his power rankings as if, like, and I love Corey Curtis to death, but as if like people are sitting there saying like, I wonder what Corey Curtis thinks of the Arizona Cardinals.
People might. I don't know that they don't.
Well, it gets reaction. Like, I'll give Corey credit on that. Like, it is. And it drew my attention this week.
So there you go.
Corey has the Titans ranked 13th. He has Jacksonville ranked 14th. And as soon as I saw that, I said to myself, and Corey Curtis is not a Bobo.
No.
He's not Joe Rexrow talking about Vandy or Tennessee. Corey writes for Jacksonville at 14. Okay, the win in L.A. got my attention. They did not just beat the Chargers. They beat them down, and could Urban Meyer look any worse? He then put the Titans 1-2 at 14. He also has the Chargers at 12 ahead of the Jags.
When the Jags just beat him?
Smoked them. And said we'll get to his line on the Chargers in a second. He said of the Titans, signs of a hope in Nashville. Ryan Tannehill was really good on Sunday. So was Derrick Henry. And yes, the two things are connected. So again, doesn't really explain like the Titans-Jags dichotomy. I just think that Corey Curtis, and I think that he's being honest with this, he just can't bring himself to put the Jags ahead of the Titans right now. And I understand it because I need to see more from Jacksonville too. They play the Eagles this weekend. Like, we will see, okay? Jacksonville.
But I also need to see more from the Titans.
Sure. Well, that's kind of the bigger point here, which is I don't know how you can put the Titans ahead of the Jags. I mean, again, Corey's not a homer, but I don't know how you can put the Titans ahead of the Jags.
And it probably feels icky to do that, but right now where it stands, the Jags have been more impressive.
I just think Titan fans, and I'm not saying, that Corey is like a Titan fan for this, but I do think that it's like with Jacksonville, they can't bring themselves to believe that Jacksonville is better than the Titans. It's like, I know they won a couple of games, but the Titans are the two-time defending AFC South champion. The Titans, all year, we all thought were a better team than Jacksonville. Jacksonville smoked a bad Indianapolis team, which Indy is a bad team. They smoked a bad Indianapolis team, and they went on the road and shocked everybody by just manhandling the Chargers. But let's see.
But there are so many preconceived notions that go into these. It's the same thing with a college football top 25.
Well, I'll ask you this. Who do you think is going to be the better team by the end of the year, the Titans or the Jags?
I lean the Titans.
Ian, who do you think is going to be the better team by the end of the year, the Titans or the Jags?
If I had to pick one right now, I would pick the Titans.
I think I probably would too. So even the idea of still truly buying into that, Jacksonville is legit, we're not willing to do right now.
Week 4, I can put them over the Titans.
But from what we've seen so far, Jacksonville's a better team.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is, we talked about Jacksonville, not consistently, but we did bring it up that they could be one of the surprise teams. We never really considered the Texans as a team that could be a surprise team, but we certainly talked about it with Jacksonville.
I don't think Jacksonville's going to be like a Bengals team last year kind of surprise team. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Jags, be a little bit of a giant killer.
So what I wonder is, are the Chargers just going to be one of the most disappointing teams in the league? And today they put Joey Bosa and Rashawn Slater on IR. And so, again, we can crap on the Broncos all we want. One thing I want everybody to realize about the Broncos is there's probably a good chance that head coach is going to get better as he becomes more acclimated with that role. And there's probably a chance that he and Russell are going to get better as the season continues. And they are 2-1. And at this point in the year, all that matters is if you win the games, because they look horrendous doing it. But all that matters is if you win the games, like right now, because nobody remembers how you played in September. And the teams that are always the best are the ones that get better throughout October and then into November. And then like right around Thanksgiving is where teams really start to pull away and really start to be contenders. And I'm not ruling Denver in on that, but I'm not ruling them out either. I just would say that like the Chargers right now, they're 1-2 and they've got a rugged schedule. And if the Chargers lose a couple more, now they're 4 or 5 in the hole. Now the season's over. And Joey Bosa's out. Rashawn Slater's out. It's probably 2 of the best 5 players. Maybe the Chargers are just a disappointment this year. And that Jacksonville took advantage of them and took advantage of the Colts. And that this week they'll play the Eagles and they'll come back down to earth. I don't know. But I don't know if that doing a weekly power ranking, if I could put the Titans ahead of the Jags. Then again, I'm not making any power rankings. So Corey would be like, well, what are your power rankings? I'm not making any. But
what would be your power rankings? Putting you on the spot here.
yeah, I have no idea. But I still think Buffalo is the best team in the NFL, even though they lost. And they lost to the Dolphins, and the Dolphins are 3-0, and the Bills are 2-1. I still think Buffalo is the best team in the league. What do we have the text line?
One texter texts in and says, unequivocally, I would say that the Titans are better than the Jags.
I mean, we
They
don't
might
know
be.
that.
They might be.
It's hard to say that, though, because the Jacksonville Jaguars literally have smoked two of their opponents.
Yeah, I don't know
You know
if I
the
could...
fun fact, though? You know who they lost to?
The Jags?
Yeah.
Who?
Washington.
Oh, that's right.
And, Washington freaking is terrible.
But in the first 3 to 5, maybe even 6 weeks of the season, there are so many weird games like that.
Weird games.
Like the 49ers losing to the Bears week 1. Like the Bears are not a better team than
Weird
San
games.
Francisco.
Weird
Just
games.
things happen.
Broncos lose to the Seahawks.
Yeah.
If not, they'd be 3-0, which is crazy.
The Chiefs lose to the Colts.
Yeah, the Chiefs totally crap that game away.
Yeah.
And so, the Titans losing to the Giants. The Titans aren't a worse team than the Giants. But those things happen at this point in the season. What's next?
Keith from Bowling Green texts in about the drafts and says a GM's draft is only as good as your scouts.
I would tend to agree with that, and I believe the Titans need to evaluate their scouting staff in some capacity. And they need to get that figured out because clearly in 20 and 21, they were not up to snuff. I mean, the 2021 draft might not produce one starter. Like one starting season. That's terrible. 615-737-1025. Joe Rexroad will join us for Jared versus Joe, though I think Caroline might be more mad at Joe today than I am.
It's true.
Edley's is my spot. Edley's Barbecue. That's right. I absolutely love Edley's. I've been eating Edley's for years now. I'm glad I finally get to talk to you all about it. And if you are a big tailgater, Edley's is your spot. Hand off the tailgate prep to Edley's Barbecue. Get your smoked wings in easy 25 and 50 count platters. And I do love their wings. I love the Edley's smoked wings with a little barbecue sauce on them. Oh my goodness gracious, they're fantastic. Easily take the smoked pulled pork, brisket, turkey, and scratch-made sides, family style. Edley's is perfect for game day at home or at the stadium. So if you're having people over, let Edley's do all the catering for the tailgating. If you're going to the game, let Edley's do all the tailgating for the catering. And trust me, you'll be glad that you trust them. Call your neighborhood Edley's or order online at edleysbarbecue.com. Again, I am a huge Edley's fan, and now I am excited that I get to tell you all about how much I love Edley's because they are fantastic. It will be the number one choice you make for your tailgate. And everybody will want to know where you got your barbecue from, and you tell them you got it from Edley's. And that when you tell Edley's that you heard about it from Jared Stillman, because that's how good they are. Stillman & Company, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
You watch the game.
Tannehill, he can run, and he does. Touchdown.
We talk the game.
I think this is Vrabel giving Tannehill more authority over the team.
We are the game. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey, football fans. Dak Prescott here. And I'm here to tell you that with NFL Sunday Ticket only on DirecTV, you can watch your favorite team no matter where you live. Because NFL Sunday Ticket gives you every live out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon. So switch to DirecTV and learn how to get the 2022 NFL Sunday Ticket season included at no extra cost. Call 1-800-DIRECTV.
With choice package and above, 24-month agreement required. Call for details.
Hey everyone, it's me, Michelle Knezovic. Join me Saturday at Lucky Duck Lounge in East Nashville for the SEC Game of the Week presented by bettinghero.com. They're going to help you enjoy your experience betting on mobile, and hey, they might even buy you a beer. Fun starts at 2:30 Saturday. Can't wait to see y'all there.
Hey, it's Big Joe on the go. Look, I get it. Nobody likes being in a car accident, but when that happens, make it easy on yourself and call Apple Collision Centers so you don't have to stress. They're locally owned with 3 convenient locations in O'Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Apple Collision Centers managers combined for 60-plus years experience, and they only recommend original equipment parts on your vehicle. So, if you're in need of a repair today or down the road, just head over to Apple Collision Centers. Stan and his team will take great care of you. Online, applecollisioncenters.com.
When you download the Home Depot app, taking on big or small projects starts with a tap. It's your pocket-sized toolbox for getting more done. Image search helps you find what you need with a snap. Store mode pinpoints exactly where to go to get what you want while you're at our store. Or just tap to arrange for easy curbside pickup, all from the palm of your hand. It's the app that's made for doing. The Home Depot app. How doers get more done.
Listen to Stillman & Company with me, Caroline Fenton, all season long on ESPN 102.5 The Game for your chance to win Nashville Sounds tickets courtesy of 312 Pizza Company in Germantown.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Robbie and Rex Road, Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stillman & Company. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushes.
Awesome Game 7. Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman & Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. It is Wednesday. It is time for a little Jared versus Joe. Joe Rexroad joins us here on the program. Joe, good afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon, GB Joe.
Okay, so.
Oh.
Hello.
Hey
So I think we should get right into it with Jared versus Joe.
Jared Stillman versus Joe Rexroad. Now on Stillman & Company.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game.
So I'm going to take the reins on this. Earlier this morning, multiple people texted me about a preposterous discussion that was happening in Robbie and Rexroad. One that I believe in experience that I would assume that Joe probably gets on like a bi-weekly basis, which probably happens with our show, about, can you believe what Jared Stillman just said? Because I got about 5 texts this morning, Joe.
Wow.
About your preposterous discussion of a 10-2 Tennessee team making the college football playoff, or if they should be considered, or everything else. Now, let me state, other than the clips that Ian played earlier today, when we discussed how preposterous that was, let me just state this fact that I didn't hear it. But Caroline did, and she seems pretty upset about it. So here's what we're going to do. Instead of our traditional Jared versus Joe, Caroline, you go first. What is your main issue with Joe's 10-2 stance on Tennessee football?
Well, I just think it's ridiculous to say that a 2-loss team would deserve to get in the playoff. One, because a 2-loss team has never gotten into the playoff. If you lose 2 games against 2 of the best teams in the country, yeah, that probably means you're a pretty darn good team. But that does not mean you're one of the 4 best teams in the country. If USC is undefeated, if Clemson is undefeated, if Ohio State is undefeated, those teams have a better resume to get into the playoff. It's the same thing last year with Cincinnati getting into the playoff. They were undefeated. Baylor won their conference, but they had 2 losses. They did not get in. Ohio State had 2 losses. They did not get in. Those teams both played a harder schedule than Cincinnati played, but Cincinnati was undefeated, so they got in because that sends a message of, if you're undefeated, it doesn't matter what you have to do. If you won your conference, if you went 12-0 throughout the season, there's nothing more than you can do because you're still not going to be better than a 2-loss Tennessee team, and that is absolutely preposterous. That is not how the college football playoff works.
Joe?
Okay. Well, first of all, you're not making apples-to-apples comparisons there. Now, UCF did go undefeated and obviously did not make the playoff. Also, 3 2-loss teams have finished number 5. So this idea that a 2-loss team, just forget about it, brush them out of here, no way.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there's no spot for them in the playoff. Baylor lost 2 games, and they were 5th in the postseason top 25.
I want you to go through Baylor's schedule last year, Caroline. And I want you to talk about a Tennessee team that wins at Pittsburgh. And again, do these wins have max value? That's a big part of this. I don't know right now if they do, but let's say they do. Let's say that Florida has a good finish, Pittsburgh makes that win stand up. A win at LSU, a win against a top 10 Kentucky team.
Those are all assumptions.
No, well, of course. I mean, we're talking about it, but that's what we're doing. This is a hypothetical scenario. This is the hypothetical scenario of Tennessee winning all those games, which absolutely obliterates whatever USC could ever do on its awful schedule.
It doesn't matter.
Unfortunately,
it doesn't matter.
How does it not matter?
If you lose 2 games, you are not one of the 4 best teams in the country.
That's absolutely absurd. Absolutely. So you're telling me we know that there are 3 teams. We know that there are 3 teams, or we think there are 3 teams that stand above everyone else. Can we agree on that?
Alabama,
that
Georgia, Ohio State.
Georgia. Yeah. Can we agree that they are?
Sure.
Okay. So you're telling me that with all those wins that I gave you, which, by the way, would already put Tennessee among the best resumes in the country, just those wins, and 2, let's say, again, it's all hypothetical, let's say 2 losses that are like within a score of Alabama at home and at Georgia, and they're 10-2. No way. I'm sorry, because you lost 2 games.
There's no way.
Look at it. Listen,
that is the one precedent that the college football playoff has set. The one precedent that the college football playoff has set is that there's never been a 2-loss team in.
Here's my question. There's
been 3 teams that got to 5, so it's not like it's,
yeah, but
who
cares about 5?
Yeah, nobody cares about 5.
Nobody cares about 5. I'm not saying that Tennessee wouldn't be one of the best teams in the country.
So because something has never happened, and it's been, 8 years, it couldn't possibly happen. There's just no way that could ever happen.
Here's my issue with
That's ridiculous.
this. Here's my issue with this. And I do think that if there was a 12-team playoff that we would be discussing, like the Tennessee-Kentucky game might be for a playoff spot if there was a 12-team playoff.
Absolutely.
Well, of course.
But with a 4-team playoff, the whole goal is to find the best team in the country. The whole goal is so that number 3 or number 4 cannot sit there and say, we could have beaten number 1. If Alabama and Georgia go to the college football playoff, then it is obvious, and they beat Tennessee along the way, then it is obvious that Tennessee is not going to win the championship. So they should not be allowed to compete for the championship when they've already lost the teams that are competing for the championship.
If you lose to a team by a touchdown in one game, and there's no way you could beat that team a second time?
First of all, you keep bringing up this like margin of victory and stuff like that. Other than Ohio State's
hypothetical.
But I know, but other than Ohio State's victory over Wisconsin in 2014, I'm not sure margin of victory has ever mattered in the college football playoff.
Oh, Jared, don't fool yourself. Don't fool yourself. These guys, and look, they've moved the goalpost, so let's be clear on that. We can all agree on that too.
Yeah.
But no, being competitive in how you look, and again, they've also done this too. Oh, the about this. No, not the about this. You can't tell me you don't think that someone who plays a competitive game against, again, 2 teams that you might consider certainly 2 of the top 3, if not the top 2. You're telling me if Tennessee goes into Georgia, into Athens, and gives them a game into the fourth quarter that the committee doesn't talk about that favorably? Of course they do. I don't think Tennessee will do this, anyway, right? But, like, if you actually played that scenario out and the Pittsburgh, LSU, Florida, Kentucky wins all look really strong, I mean, that resume is ridiculous. And let's compare it to USC. You won at Utah, which couldn't beat Florida, and then other stuff. I mean, it's so, like, the gap between the SEC and the Pac-12, for example, like, there's a bigger gap between that than, like, the Pac-12 and the AAC right now. I mean, it would be absurd to even compare them.
But how could the College Football Playoff Committee justify putting in a 2-loss team over an undefeated USC, hypothetically? You cannot justify that. And you can talk all day long about the resume, the strength of schedule, the strength of wins. I do think all of those things matter. But if Tennessee can't beat Georgia and Alabama, then they don't deserve to compete for a championship. Is that unfair? Maybe. Would Tennessee still be one of the top teams in the country? Absolutely, for sure. And Tennessee fans should be excited about that. But if you lose 2 games, you don't have the right to go to the playoff.
Well, look, I don't think that they would get in over an undefeated team. And like, I mean, look, ultimately it's hard to argue with, even though it's such a different level of schedule, it's hard to argue with undefeated. I mean, the scenario I brought up this morning was them competing with a 1-loss team. And in that scenario, and it could be a number of teams, right? I mean, we don't know what Clemson's going to do. I mean, there's a bunch of, obviously, variables. But the thing is, there'd still be people arguing, like, oh, this team has a better record than them. And, I mean, that would be – that's the scenario I brought up. I don't think they'd get an undefeated team. I still think it's worth a discussion because, again, it's all hypothetical, so let's go ahead and take this USC team and put them through Tennessee's schedule. You go to Pittsburgh, you go to LSU, you take on right now an undefeated top 10 Kentucky, and you go play those two teams close. Is USC doing that? I mean, you could say,
I can't answer that question, and that's not how it works.
Well, no, but see, when you say how it works, I mean, for better or for worse, these people sit there for hours in this freaking room, and they talk about, like, offensive efficiency numbers and advanced stats on running the football. I mean, they go through every little thing you can go through. So
they go through everything you can go through, yet a 2-loss team has still never gotten in the 8-year sample size that we have.
That's true. And if you take – I'll do it. This Tennessee team in that scenario, and again, those wins would have to be max value. I bet you it compares awfully well to these 3 2-loss teams that ended up 5th. I bet
but the argument's not whether or not they can get to 5.
It's about whether they can make the playoffs.
4. I think the comparison there, to your point,
if it compares favorably, then they could be a spot higher, which is
so of those 2-loss teams. This is really the question, and I guess I kind of feel like the judge here in this one instance.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it is kind of fun. The question that I have is, of those 2-loss teams, how many of them won their conference championship? Because, I think one of them you're probably referring to is probably Penn State in 2016, who beat Ohio State but lost to Michigan and Pitt along the way. But that Penn State team won the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. In your hypothetical situation, Joe, Alabama and Georgia would both play in the SEC championship game, and because of that, Tennessee would not only not be a conference champion, they wouldn't even be a division champion. And I think it's hard to see a team being number 5 that doesn't even win its own division.
And that's why I see the only path.
You're in the division with the best team, though. I mean, and this is, I mean, when your circumstances are as extreme as Tennessee's, they're one of 2 teams that have to play both of those teams. Auburn's the other one. I mean, it's not anybody's fault, if their conference stinks, right? I mean, ultimately, you just play what's in front of you. But also, you shouldn't get knocked for being in an incredible league and have the absolute toughest possible schedule. And in fact, I believe if you perform extremely well against it, you should be rewarded.
Okay. On the other side, we'll argue more, and I don't even know what the topics are. But it was fun to not actually be the one doing the arguing there. 615-737-1025. I don't know why I gave it the phone number. More Jared versus Joe coming up. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. I'm a member of the Happy Hiller Club. I had Hiller at my home yesterday. They did the electrical tune-up. They did the HVAC tune-up. I am ready to go for heat for the winter. That's right. Love it. You should join the Happy Hiller Club, too. Tons of benefits of being a Happy Hiller Club member. Hey, it's grilling and chilling season, and Hiller is celebrating all month long with special deals for customers, like a free Yeti Tundra cooler with the purchase of a new tankless water heater, a free Traeger wood pellet grill with the purchase of a new whole home generator, and a free Yeti Tundra cooler with the purchase of a full home septic system. Hiller is also helping make sure your home is ready for colder weather, so take advantage of the limited time financing promotion on HVAC replacements, like 0% interest financing for up to 48 months on select new HVAC systems. Hiller's work is backed by the Happy You'll Be or Services Free Guarantee, and I know this because I use Hiller just like I did yesterday. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Nashville Predators, the Tennessee Volunteers, and the Vanderbilt Commodores. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
At some point, it's a combination of who did you play and what does your skill set look like.
Get the best analysis of the big stories in the sports world with ESPN's Jason Fitz.
If you reach for a quarterback in the draft because you need one, you're going to set your franchise back 5 years.
Join Fitzy every Wednesday at 4:30. Presented by Blood Assurance. Jason Fitz.
I am 5'9.5"
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's Chad Withrow here to talk about Renters Warehouse. Renters Warehouse is in heavy demand right now in Nashville for 3 reasons. 1, the rental market is booming. 2, with Renters Warehouse professional landlords, you can rent your house worry-free, no paperwork, rent collections. And 3, with regulations changing so quickly, more people are learning that using an experienced property manager is far less stressful. Go to renterswarehouse.com to book your free home rental price analysis today or call 615-398-9550. That's 615-398-9550. Renters Warehouse Nashville. You can't buy happiness, but you can rent it.
About 80% of new home buyers don't shop around for the best mortgage loan. That's a mistake. Hey, Willie Donick here for my friends at Loan Pronto. Not all mortgages are created equal. People who use Loan Pronto, on average, save $3,500 in closing costs. They get a better rate, which saves them thousands more every year. Your banker or agent's go-to lenders are fine people, but don't assume they're giving you the best deal. Call Loan Pronto for a quick second opinion or go to loanpronto.com. I'll bet you they can get you a better loan, lower rate, without all those annoying closing costs. And when rates drop, Loan Pronto will refinance you for free. No closing costs. Call to get pre-approved in minutes. They can even hook you up with a high-performing real estate agent if you need one. So call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. Or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
Attention sports fans, your favorite sportsbook BetUS.com is back for our 29th year of football action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite leagues, including NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. We've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest slots, and our live dealers are waiting for you at the tables. Sign up at BetUS.com or call 1-800-79-BET-US and get into the action. BetUS, where the game begins.
Never miss a moment of the show.
What is this? Check it out.
Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app. Jared Stillman versus Joe Rexrode. Now on Stillman and Company.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game.
All right, let's get back to the way it should be. Me and Joe arguing against one another. Caroline,
Hey.
please go.
Joe, you go ahead and go first. Has the Titans-Colts game this week lost to any quote-unquote juice?
And I'm assuming you mean lost like since like before the season started?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I thought this would be first of all like the clear at this point, the clear as we thought all along they would be the top 2 teams in the division, and I'm not sure that's the case at this point. I mean, it's very early, but they both looked not great for a lot of their season, and it's still a hugely important game. There's still a lot on the line. I think it's a good little rivalry going. I mean, I think it's pretty wild. The Titans have won 3 straight in Indy, and I know the Colts are sick of that, and their owner is all losing his mind about the Titans, which has got to be very satisfying for Titans fans. But, yeah, I could draw up a scenario where both of these teams are players to some extent in the AFC going in before the season. I picked the Colts to win the division. I don't feel good about that pick right now, but I don't feel good about people who pick the Titans either. They both have a lot of issues, and I think it's absolutely lost some luster.
Yeah, I think it's lost some juice, but I think the biggest reason it's lost juice is because it almost feels more like a survival game than it does what felt like a grabbing the first strike in the division kind of game. And, I mean, in reality, I think the best case scenario for how people can feel about the Titans is that, they could win a bad division. And that's with the assumption that Jacksonville's bad, which we don't know is the case or not. It really felt like these 2 Colts games were going to kind of decide the division one way or another. And I know it's early, but last year the 2 Colts games absolutely decided the division. This year it doesn't feel like it's going to be that way because of Jacksonville. So I believe that while there's still juice, I mean, I still think Titan fans know how important division games are, and I think they know that the Colts still view the Titans as kind of the team to beat because the Titans have won the division twice, and Jim Irsay hates them. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden, okay, you beat the Colts. That's a monumental, humongous win on the schedule, because the Colts might not be the best team in the division. The Colts might not be the team that the Titans find themselves competing with in November and December for the division. So because going into the year I felt like it was at, a 10 out of 10 in terms of juice, I think it's taking a step back.
On to the next. Jared, you go first. Who or what is culpable for the Titans' second half offensively against the Raiders?
So against the Raiders specifically, I think it's the coach. And I think when the Titans were able to move the ball effectively against the Raiders in the first half, they used a lot of mixed personnel, which is where Treylon Burks was on the field, Robert Woods was on the field, but also Jeff Swaim and Derrick Henry were on the field. So the Raiders didn't get a good idea of what was coming ahead of time. And the Titans, as soon as they get on the field with 6 minutes to go in the third quarter, run out the jumbo package with Cody Hollister. We talked about how Cody Hollister, 14 plays in the game, and 9 of them were in the second half. And the Titans just, whenever they get into that mode of, we're going to put Hollister and Torrey Carter in the game, they seem to lose all effectiveness. I thought the Titans kept trying to trick the Raiders in the second half. They tried to run a screen pass and 4-minute offense. And so when I look at what happened to the Titans, one, I think defensively, I believe that the Titans, the Raiders caught on to them. They knew, okay, the Titans are taking away Adams and Waller, so now Mac Hollins is the guy to go to, and the Raiders took advantage of that. And more importantly, I felt like the Titans, I feel like in the second half of both the Giants and the Raiders game, they get into it, and Todd Downing looks at the play sheet and is like, we haven't called Bubblegum X2Y Spider Banana. We haven't called that yet. Let's call it. As opposed to, what is working for the team offensively. I mean, Treylon Burks had one catch in the first half. It was preposterous that they only targeted him one more time in the game. So I think it's right now what the Titans have got to do is they've got to stop putting in bad personnel. And I think that that's a Downing and Vrabel thing right now. So I think it was the offensive coaching. And then I also thought it was ridiculous on the 4th and 4 to go for it. And then I thought, if you're going to go for it on the 4th and 4, why are you not going for the 4th and 1? So I'll chalk coaching up to it. For the Raiders game. The Giants game, they took their foot off the gas.
Yeah, I mean, the whole 57-7 thing, it's 3 different situations. I do think there was probably somewhat of an emotional letdown type thing in the first game, which sounds like an excuse, but I think that was part of it. The second game, I mean, they just got their butts kicked, and it just snowballed on them. And then I would have to agree. The only thing I'd add or change on the coaching is I just feel like predictability. And I understand, it's like you complain about predictability, and then when they go unpredictable chig, it's like, okay, well, that was unpredictable, so which is it? But I do think the first down runs, we were talking on our show today, I want to say we had Mike Kernan on. I think he added up 7 yards and or maybe 9 total yards and 6 first down runs to Derrick Henry. So you're just throwing him into the mix, into the wash on first down, and it's over and over again that you're 2nd and 10, 2nd and 9. Again, it's like, okay, well, how often do we talk about how Derrick Henry in the run game in the second half? I mean, when you got to go to it. But I think a little bit more mixing it up like they did in the first half, those first 3 drives, which I thought were, again, it wasn't just the scripted drive. It was the next 2. I thought everything was really good. They got, I think, a little bit too predictable, but I think that's a fair point on the personnel groupings too. And it's good. It's important to say Vrabel and Downing too, because I think that's always important. There's play calling and then there's philosophy.
So here's what bothers me about the Titans' second half coaching against the Raiders. First and foremost, I still don't get, if you're going to go for it on 4th and 4 with 12 minutes to go, why would you not go for it on 4th and 1 with 6 minutes to go? And not only not go for it, but also not even bring the offense out to try to jump the Raiders offside. You've already gone for it once on 4th down. They probably think you're going to go for it again. And you don't even try to jump them off sides and see if you can pick up that cheap first down and knock off another 2 or 3 minutes of the clock right then and there. I mean, that is, and that's not a Downing thing. That's a Vrabel thing. What in the world was he thinking? And then, but the personnel groupings are what kills me. I mean, it kills me that when they run a mixed personnel group, the Titans ran it 19 times for 162 yards. They averaged 8.53 yards per play, so 8.5 yards per play with mixed personnel. They average in passing personnel, which they should have more yards in passing personnel. They average 7.2 yards per play. So 8.5 in mix, 7.2 in pass. In run personnel, which is 2 tight ends, Swaim, Hollister, Carter. If Hollister, Carter is in the game, it's a run play, or it's run personnel. If, 2 tight ends are in there, it's run personnel. With run personnel, 8 plays, the Titans average 1.75 yards per play. I mean, when the personnel packages have got to change. It's too predictable. Even the third and one.
Or you just have to be effective at using them to keep the defense off balance and not being predictable.
Sure. So either that or they have to throw to Cody Hollister. And
which you would love. So
me, I have never claimed
you're a big Hollister guy.
No, I said to you that they were, and you said I was crazy that they love Hollister, and I was right. Just like I was right about Vanderbilt's Vandy United Fund that still hasn't seen one shovel go in the ground.
Oh, yeah, it's all fake, Jared.
I'm just saying.
Well, you did say $300 million doesn't make a difference. That's what I disagreed with.
Has it made a difference?
Well, they don't have $300 million. That's the problem. $300 million would make a difference.
We don't know that they don't have it.
Well, one, if they didn't have it, or two, if they did have it and didn't do anything with it, then no, that wouldn't make a difference. But using $300 million does make a difference, even if it's small.
And what did I say? I said, put some shovels in the ground and let me see. Because Vandy's been telling me for years they're going to do stuff, and they never do it.
They have done stuff. They've actually done a lot of stuff at the stadium. They put shovels in the ground. They haven't built the new building yet. That doesn't mean they haven't had shovels in ground. Have you been over there inspecting the dirt?
What have they done, Joe?
They've done actually quite a bit to the stadium. Have you been to the stadium?
What have they done to the stadium, Joe?
I'll forward you the email, Jared, with the full breakdown, including like 3D pictures of all the stuff they've done in the end zones.
I will look.
This is not private information, Jared.
At the Vandy PR spin on this about their wonderful stadium.
I've been in the stadium. I've actually seen it with my own eyes. Like, they actually have done things. I'll send you pictures, buddy. We can figure this out together. I know you can do it.
So I'm supposed to say, we added a lemonade stand outside section 104.
Well, that's something. That might make a difference.
$300 million. $300 million.
Something that could raise
just like I said,
funds for the bowling team.
I said to Joe that they love Hollister. Joe is now turning this into I love Hollister. I never said I loved Hollister. I said they love Hollister.
I heard you. No.
And I was
heard
right.
You one day say, now, hold on. Now, I heard you one day say, Hollister's just as good as NWI. You definitely said that recently. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. I think the one of them starts and actually catches passes sometimes, and one of them goes out there on running plays and runs around.
To me, they're backups. I don't.
Oh, that's right. So all backups are.
How many yards does Westbrook Akine have this season?
I don't know, but he is better than Cody Hollister. I am very confident in saying that.
Let me pull up the Titans receiving totals. With the difference, because Hollister has that one catch for 20-something yards. I'm going to guess Westbrook Akine has 38 yards.
66.
Where did he get 66 from?
He had, let me see the game breakdown. He had 40 yards against the Raiders. Those were some sneaky 40 yards. 13 against Buffalo, 13 against the Giants.
Man, he's really making Austin Hooper look bad.
5 receptions for 66 yards.
Some more catches than Austin Hooper, too.
Yeah.
Joe, go ahead.
About that. I have nothing else to add. Yes, he had a good game against the Raiders. You should have watched.
Caroline, who wins this week?
I don't know. We did a whole lot of agreeing and a whole lot of arguing. Jared wins because of Joe's ridiculous false take.
There you go.
Thank you. That's back-to-back weeks, right?
No, I gave Joe the win last week.
Oh, okay.
Happy anniversary, Joe.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. It was Joe's anniversary.
You won them all, brother. Jared wins them all. Hell yes.
Why do you get all take my ball and go home like that all the time?
I'm not.
It's very
I'm
disconcerting.
I think you earn the wins.
No, it's very Joe. Like last week, Joe won, and it was like, no, give it all to Jared. It literally feels like you're going to take your ball and go home. That's what it feels like.
I'm not mad. I'm telling you, like you said on our show, you earn these wins. And I thought about it like, you know what? He's right. It's like Jared running the ball. You got to get in there. You got to get in the 3-point stance. You fire off the ball, man. Jared earning those wins, baby. Congratulations. Proud of you.
How is that like getting a 3-point offensive lineman stance?
Just getting up in there.
Man. No.
Get up in there. Get tough.
You know what's crazy about
Put
Joe?
that hand in the dirt.
And I love Joe.
In there and
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
All right.
You know, one of the things about Joe, and I love Joe, but he talks himself in, like especially when it comes to me. But apparently, this Tennessee take that he had this morning about them making the playoff at 10-2, he talks himself in like it's almost like Bugs Bunny when he would dig himself a hole and like that spinning motion to carve out something.
Was that Bugs Bunny?
Yeah.
The Tasmanian Devil? Didn't he spin around?
Yeah, but Bugs Bunny's the one that burrows into the ground.
Before my time.
And so he would he spins himself into the ground like Bugs Bunny with some of these takes. Like what he's talking about. Like, no, you win them all, Jared. So then I call him out for being such a Sour Patch Kid. And he's like, no, I'm not taking my ball and going home. It's like, hey, fire off the ball.
Don't
like, what
be
does that
catty.
Mean? Like, what does that mean,
Don't
Joe?
Be catty.
Stop being a sore winner and a sore loser at the same time. 615-737-1025. Mike Vrabel. The thing about Vrabel is sometimes you got to be able to read Vrabelese. You got to be able to realize what Vrabel's talking about. And we'll get to that. FanDuel Sportsbook is my official sportsbook app. I love the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's fantastic. And it's the number one sportsbook app in America. And not only is it the number one sportsbook app in America, but it's perfect for Thursday night football. So be sure to get a no-sweat same-game parlay from FanDuel. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or if you already have an account. You'll get free bets back if your Thursday night same-game parlay doesn't hit. The NFL same-game parlays are the perfect way to combine your bet for a chance at a bigger payout. So you can go with Joe Mixon over his rushing yards, Joe Burrow over his passing yards, Tua, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. There's a lot to pick from there. Build your own or choose from one of the popular SGPs pre-built for you in the FanDuel Sportsbook's top-rated sportsbook app. However you want to play, you can bet the NFL on Thursday night with a no-sweat same-game parlay. Just sign up with the promo code JGM to get started. If you already have FanDuel, you're all set. Just sign in to see what you got. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. 3+ legs. Minimum $1 bet required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max bet $5. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Hi, I'm Yusuf Saros. And this is Nashville.
Now here's a try off to the side. What a stop made by UC Saros there.
Unreal. You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network. ESPN 1025, The Game.
As a roofer, every second counts. Late deliveries and incomplete orders cost me time and money. That's why I partner with Beacon. Beacon's unique network of branches work together to get me what I need when I need it. Every branch working together. With Beacon, I know my supplies will be delivered on time and complete. Homeowners rely on me, so I rely on Beacon because I never stop building, and neither do they. Go to BECN.com to get started building with Beacon. Beacon, always building.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick, the type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera, and the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
I can walk again, I can cross my legs again, I can wear heels again.
After years of living with chronic joint pain, Andrea Southard is now living a normal life, pain-free, thanks to natural biologic treatments at QC Kinetics.
We tried everything, and my husband had heard the commercial for QC Kinetics on the radio, and he told me to call him and check it out.
That phone call changed Andrea's life. QC Kinetics used powerful natural biologics to treat her aching joints. It's high-tech precision medicine that can restore and repair damaged joint tissue with no surgery and no drugs, providing lasting relief.
I felt like I was in my 20s again. I could tie my own shoes. Really the little things that you don't think about.
Pain in your hips, knees, back, shoulders? Get rid of the pain now. Call QC Kinetics.
615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. QC Kinetics. 615-249-4024.
Now's the time to make a message known. All working-class Tennesseans vote no on Amendment 1 this voting season. Right to work does not belong in the state constitution. Hardworking families deserve to have their needs addressed in today's economy. Visit TennesseeWorkerAlliance.org, paid for by the Nashville Building Trades.
We gather together in communities across the nation to remember and honor, to celebrate and support, to light the night. We are LLS, and when we walk, cancer runs. Find your local event at lightthenight.org.
On the Thursday edition of Chase, Willie, and D-Mace, we are live at Bridgestone Arena at the Barrel House as the Predators take on the Lightning. Plus, silly underdog picks come up at noon, and we get you set for Titans-Colts. Starts at 10, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Hey, Nashville, this is Vanderbilt head coach Jerry Stackhouse. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5, The Game.
Stillman and Company. So Mike Vrabel had his coaching show yesterday. Sometimes I don't know why I watch this stuff, but
what else are you going to do?
This one was interesting. So Mike Vrabel, sometimes you have to be able to speak Vrabelese, where you have to try to decipher what he's saying. And one thing I want to say before we get into this is there is a chance that I am projecting my own feelings of the Indianapolis Colts onto Mike Vrabel.
That's the danger of Vrabelese.
I'm going to play these cuts and let you all decide for yourself if Vrabel truly has no respect for the Indianapolis Colts. So let's start with when he got to his keys to the game. He only had one key that involved the Colts. The other keys, one was the Titans need to run the ball, and the other was win special teams. So the only key that involved the Colts was slow down Jonathan Taylor. Now, this is Vrabel on his coach's show talking about Jonathan Taylor, and listen to the excitement or reverence that he has for Jonathan Taylor's game.
Going to be critical that we're able to build a wall, set edges, and everybody's at the point of attack. And they're not, I think they're going to find ways to try to get Hines involved. He's always been, a piece that they've liked to use against us, whether that's out of the backfield or as a receiver. But, it starts with Jonathan Taylor. This team wants to run the football, and they want to make sure that they're doing that and creating play-action passes off of it. So it's going to start with Jonathan Taylor and our ability to stop the run this week.
Jonathan Taylor, 9 Hines. The only key to the game.
Do we disagree?
No. But now listen to him talk about the other stuff. Mike Keith brings up Matt Ryan. Listen to what Vrabel says about Matt Ryan.
Got some familiar names on offense. One that's not totally familiar to the Colts because he was a Falcon. We're talking about Matt Ryan, who comes off his best game as the Colts quarterback, but he's been sacked 12 times.
He has. We're going to have to try to get to him and continue to affect the quarterback and, force them into turnovers. It won't be easy, but, it's something that we're going to have to try to do.
He wants you to know, hey, we're going to sack him and try to turn him over because,
And I love how he threw in it's not going to be easy.
Won't be easy.
Because I have to put that in there to make it look like I respect this quarterback and to make it look like I don't think that he's absolutely terrible, but I do.
But it's not like Jonathan Taylor when it's like, oh, Jonathan Taylor, we got to do this, we got to do that. It starts with him, it ends with him.
But who would disagree?
But again, Vrabel's playing the Colts, and Vrabel's like, yep, Matt Ryan, we got to pressure him and we got to turn him over.
Well, that is what they have to do.
Which will be hard to do. Now here's Vrabel talking about the Colts receivers. Keep in mind the Colts have one receiver. Their second best receiver is Nyheim Hines, a running back. And Alec Pierce finally made one big catch last week, and they threw 2 touchdown passes to Jelani Woods, who other than that had been non-existent. It would be like Chigakonkwo making 2 touchdown catches in the next Titans game. It's like, wow, where did that come from? Mm-hmm. This is Vrabel talking about the Colts receivers.
Uses every receiver that they have, and that's a big advantage that a veteran quarterback can know where everybody is on the field and run the offense.
Yeah, whether it's Pittman or Hines, and Pierce has showed up, Woods, Allie Cox, big-bodied guy, Doolin, they're using everybody. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor, what he brings as a runner. So it's a great challenge, and they got some veterans up front that are really good.
I mean,
Jonathan Taylor.
Just generic. Yeah, let's go down the depth chart. They're all good.
And then also Jonathan Taylor, who I brought up earlier, but I'm going to bring up again.
Taylor. This is my favorite. When they talked about the Colts defense. Now, the Colts defense is really not that good. They don't rush the passer. Now, they do have to force Buckner in there, and he's a big old boy. And Shaq Leonard practiced full, which means he's going to play. But the Colts defense does not rush the passer. They do not cover particularly well. They're also, when I think of the Colts defense, I think about like that soft zone shell and the fact that they don't get after the quarterback. And listen to what Vrabel says about him. And I mean, I couldn't believe Vrabel said this. Especially after I watched Juju Smith-Schuster, who is fat, run past Stephon Gilmore the other day. Here's what Vrabel said about their defense.
They have a lot on defense, too. A lot of speed. Okereke at linebacker. You're talking about other people who make plays like Franklin, and then the guys up front, and Yannick Ngakoue.
Buckner and Ngakoue, like Shaq Leonard may be out there. They got DBs that are, active. But there's just a lot of speed.
All right.
They give you speed from all different levels.
No, they don't. No. We've all seen fast defenses. The Colts are not that.
There's also no substance in that.
There's
it was
nothing.
Just, let me list out some of their best defensive players and just harp on the fact that they're quick. They got speed.
The only guy in which Vrabel actually talked about a course of action against was Jonathan Taylor. Again, other than the, hey, these guys are all really good and we're all worried about them. Jonathan Taylor is the only one, if we can get that Jonathan Taylor cut again, where he actually talks about the fear of what this guy could do. We got the Taylor cut.
It's going to be critical that we're able to build a wall, set edges, and everybody's at the point of attack. And they're not, I think they're going to find ways to try to get Hines involved. He's always been, a piece that they've liked to use against us, whether that's out of the backfield or as a receiver. But, it starts with Jonathan Taylor. This team wants to run the football, and then they want to make sure that they're doing that and creating play-action passes off of it. So it's going to start with Jonathan Taylor and our ability to stop the run this week.
I mean, that's the entire game plan. He just told you the entire game plan.
Well, and I think that all of these clips, which I didn't hear the entirety of his show, but those clips to me.
Oh, you really missed something special in the Mike Vrabel show.
Yeah, it seems like it. It seems to me that Mike Vrabel thinks the exact same thing about the Colts that we all think. That they stink.
No. This text line, my
and
Twitter.
Jonathan Taylor is the lifeline
my
of this
Twitter
team.
Has been blowing up about saying the Colts
From
stink.
Colts fans?
Probably.
Yeah.
But the Colts, I mean, the truth is, I do think Vrabel thinks the Colts stink. Outside of Taylor. And that Vrabel is...
Obviously outside of Taylor.
That Vrabel is literally, the whole game plan is set edges, build a wall. They're going to play action, pass it, put them in situations. It's almost like the same game plan with the Titans, except that the Titans have kind of figured their way to jimmy their way around this. Mm-hmm. Because last year, the Colts, for the most part, took Derrick Henry away, and the Titans went nuts with A.J. Brown in the second game. And that's why, Treylon Burks, I think, is going to play a big role on Sunday. But, they cannot pass it like that. They literally cannot pass it. I mean, watching them pass against the Chiefs was painful. And so Vrabel knows the only reason they beat the Chiefs is because Sky Moore muffed a punt inside the 5, because Amendola, their kicker, missed an extra point and a field goal, and he has since been cut. Andy Reid faked a field goal. Chris Jones got a 15-yard penalty on a 4th and 15 with the game on the line. Vrabel knows they suck. Now, I think Vrabel, and if we're talking honestly, Vrabel definitely thinks the Titans could go on the road and lose. He definitely thinks they could piss their pants and lose this game on Sunday.
Well, because we can talk so poorly about how poorly we think about the Colts, but honestly, let's be real here.
Titans could lose to any team in the league, including the Texans.
Titans already lost to a bad team in the league.
The Titans barely hung on. There is one team in the league that is 0-3 right now, and the Titans barely hung on for dear life to beat that one 0-3 team. That was it. So there is, yes, to answer your question. I mean, he definitely thinks they can go there and lose, but I've listened to Vrabel for 5 years talk about opposing teams. I mean, he has no respect for the Colts.
I mean,
he really has no respect for them.
He is CEO of credit to that team for
their
effort, for what they did for their players. Credit to that team. Doesn't sound like Vrabel's giving them much credit. Giving Jonathan Taylor plenty of credit.
I mean, he literally just went down their wide receivers and was like, Alec Pierce has showed up. He caught one ball. one big catch against the Chiefs.
At least Vrabel acknowledged that Nyheim Hines kills the Titans.
Let me say this. Nyheim Hines is the third best offensive player on that team.
Because he does kill the Titans. They'll find a way to get him out of the backfield and have some linebacker or something trying to cover him, and he will score a touchdown.
What they do with Nyheim Hines is what they should have been doing all along, which is they're putting him on the field with Jonathan Taylor at the same time, and they're basically flexing him out wide, which is, I think, a good idea. The other thing is, I think the Titans should start thinking about doing that with Hilliard, of putting Hilliard and Henry on the field at the same time, and then moving, Hilliard out into the formation if they want to. But, when we talk about trying to be unpredictable, we talk about putting the best 5 linemen on the field, put the 5 best eligible receivers on the field. And right now, I feel like Hilliard is in that 5.
I would say that's probably fair, but don't you think if we're going to talk about being unpredictable, don't you think at 1st and 10, if Dontrell Hilliard's on the field, it's probably not going to Dontrell Hilliard. If it's 3rd and 8, it's probably going to Dontrell Hilliard.
Okay, so if it's 1st and 10, and Derrick Henry's at running back,
yes,
and Hilliard's in the game,
yep,
and I play action pass with Derrick Henry, you don't think Hilliard can get matched up on a linebacker, run past him, and score a touchdown if the safety's bite?
Maybe so, but not if it's not going to him.
But that's going to be unpredictable if it's a play action pass.
Like I said, if you're utilizing play action, then yes, that does make you a little bit more unpredictable. But if Derrick Henry and Dontrell Hilliard are both out there at 3rd and 8, I think you know where that ball's going.
Do you have any more comfort in the fact that Vrabel thinks the Colts stink like we do, or that we think that Vrabel thinks the Colts stink?
I honestly find some discomfort in that.
I do too. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll go to your phones, and we'll give away some Earth, Wind, and Fire tickets on the other side. 615-737-1025 here on the program. TriStar Moving. Those are my official movers and our official presenting sponsor. I don't know anybody who gets excited about moving because it stinks. That's right. It's an awful experience. But not when you use my friends at TriStar Moving. They changed my outlook on moving because they made it absolutely stress-free. TriStar Moving has an amazing sales staff to go along with their great management team. So when I moved in 2020, I called TriStar Moving, and I had a lot going on. I had people asking me about the master closets and the master sinks and everything else, and they wanted to know, and it was just so much, and thank God I had somebody like TriStar who was there for me. They've also got new utility vans to help with the pack jobs to separate your high-value and fragile items from the bulk of your furniture. Nobody in the game is doing this, and that's what makes TriStar fantastic. Their owners, Garrett and Robert, my friends, good dudes. They are really good dudes. They love serving the Middle Tennessee community. It is really a family feeling when you move with TriStar, so if you're looking to move, give them a call, 615-640-1219, or visit their website at nashvillemoving.org/radio, where they'll give you 10% off your entire move. That's TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, nashvillemoving.org/radio. Tell them Jared sent you for 10% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
College football.
Touchdown, Georgia. Nice catch and move by Holden. Touchdown.
Lives here. Don't miss every exciting play each Saturday.
Into the end zone. Touchdown to the freshman Dane Key.
It's all presented by Twin Peaks, your home of 20-degree drafts and wall-to-wall sports, and by Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Our beautiful weather continues as we head into Thursday and Friday. Mainly clear and chilly overnight with lows in the upper 40s. Sunshine on the way for Thursday. Highs a bit warmer in the mid-70s. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Have you seen the selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches they now have at Genesis Diamonds? If not, prepare to be amazed.
If people really know the watch world, they come in and they're in shock. They're like, I cannot believe you have this selection here. They're able to see them, touch them, feel them.
Meet Genesis watch expert Charlie Rivers, who says over the past few years, Genesis buyers have scoured the world to build a collection of luxury pre-owned Rolexes, including all the hard-to-find models.
Daytonas, Pandas, Sky Dwellers, a huge selection of Submariners, Hulks, Kermits, anything that you could ever possibly want. We have every luxury pre-owned Rolex that we have here. We ensure that it's in pristine condition.
So come in today and find the timepiece of your dreams at Genesis. Or if you already own a Rolex and are looking to trade for a different model or even sell it, Genesis can help you get top dollar.
If you have a Rolex, definitely bring it in. I would love to see it and do a complimentary evaluation on it and see what we can do for you.
Genesis Diamonds, now with one of the largest selections of luxury pre-owned Rolexes in America. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Get your game on at Social Furniture. Entertain in style and make your social experience more comfortable with new furniture. Everyone loves to socialize. That's why you need new furniture. Save big. Professional same-day delivery and installation. Finance interest-free. Get rewarded with social cash back. Buy $1,000, get $125 cash back. Buy $3,000, get $450 cash back on your Social Furniture gift card to spend on accessories, new TV, sports events, or anything you like. Huge selection in stock. Shop local. Shop social.
Chase McCabe.
Competition in all positions.
Willie Donick.
You know what? I went on the radio and I tried.
And Derek Mason.
The man that sleeps on the floor never falls out to bed.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Mike, what do we mean to be able to get to 500 after the start to this season?
I think that's just all you're looking for is just try to get, back to the surface. It's obviously the next week. It's a challenge. It's on the road. First division game. So it's going to be a lot of work this week. We're going to have to put as much into it as we ever have. I think that the guys are excited, for the challenge and making sure that. We understand who these guys are, have a lot of respect for this organization, for this team. These have been, battles, each and every year, each and every game, twice a year. So, that preparation has already begun.
There you go. That was Vrabel talking about the Colts, the team, or I guess being 2-2. And I would say that being 2-2 means the Titans are right on track. 2-2 last year, number 1 seed in the AFC. I think they were 2-2 pretty much every year since he's been the coach, except for 2020 when they started off 4-0. And as we know, that's not very realistic around here. The one thing that is kind of fun is that the Eagles play Jacksonville. So we will see if Jacksonville is for real. And if not, then everybody can chill out on Jalen Hurts for a little bit.
Well, I can already hear first take on Monday. If the Jags beat the Eagles, then Trevor Lawrence is going to be for sure the MVP favorite. And if the Eagles beat the Jags, then Jalen Hurts will be the MVP favorite, and the Eagles are the team to beat in the NFC, and they are the NFC favorite to make to the Super Bowl.
So I don't know who the Cowboys play this week, because that I would assume, I think they play Washington. That I would assume would be part of
true, yep.
the discussion on first take.
Probably.
Are they going to be able to get to it? Because Brady's going to play Mahomes on Sunday.
That is a big one.
That's a big one, which will be in Minneapolis if it's not in Tampa Bay. They will see what happens after the storm. Hope everybody there is okay.
Yes.
I did promise phones. 615-737-1025. What do we have on your phones?
One texter checks in and says, how do we know this isn't just more BS from Mike Vrabel and that he actually means it?
That Vrabel doesn't respect the Colts?
Yes.
Because, I think Vrabel does take every game seriously. And so I do think that Vrabel has watched all of the tape or, knows the scouting reports or everything else. I actually was wondering this because it is very time-consuming to watch tape. And I'm not saying Vrabel doesn't do it, but I can't imagine that Vrabel watches, that they win the game on Sunday, Vrabel has his press conference, and then by the time he has his noon press conference on Monday and has met with the team in the morning, that Vrabel has watched every player on every play. I cannot imagine that. Because that would mean that I assume that these guys go to dinner with their families after the games, especially when they win and they celebrate and everything else. Maybe Belichick doesn't, but Vrabel's not that kind of guy. So maybe the position coaches do that. They get in really early and they watch every one, and then they give a report to Vrabel, and Vrabel watches through it once, or they bring certain things to Vrabel's attention. I don't know. But Vrabel does watch the tape of the team they're about to play. And he does turn the page very quickly to that next team. And I've just heard him talk about a lot of these teams before. And when it comes to the Colts, and he's talking about their receivers on offense, and he's talking about, they have a lot of guys they like to throw it to. They like to throw it to Pittman, Hines, and then, Pierce had a catch, and Woods has a big body, and Allie Cox has a big body, and, Doolin's out there. It's almost like he's telling you when he's like, it all starts with Jonathan Taylor. We got to set the edge on Taylor. We got to build a wall around Taylor. We got to keep Taylor, and we got to watch out for Hines.
Yeah, that was not difficult Vrabelese to interpret.
He gave you the game plan.
Yeah.
It's Taylor and Hines.
It starts and ends with Jonathan Taylor.
It's Taylor and Hines. That's what it is. Now Vrabel doesn't do the cat coverage where they put one guy on one guy. Mm-hmm. I think I would do that this week. I think I would put Roger McCreary on Michael Pittman, and then I would let everything else be whatever defense I want. That's what I would do, but again, it's not my team. What's next?
Another texter texts in and says the Colts should be favored in this game. After a win over the Chiefs, they're the much better team.
No, watch that tape. Now, again, the Raiders did a lot of stupid stuff that cost them the game on Sunday. But they didn't do anything like muff a punt at the 5-yard line.
It wasn't as egregiously awful as the Chiefs.
No, the Chiefs-Colts game was horrible. I mean, that was horrible. That was a total there's a video, I guess Travis Kelce has a podcast, in which they were like, and the Chiefs, I think it might be Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce.
Maybe so.
I could be wrong. But it was like the Chiefs lost this week to the Colts, and Travis Kelce just screams into the microphone the F word because he was so mad about how the Chiefs gave that game away, which, in fact, the Chiefs did. The Colts are not the better team than the Titans. And if they are the better team than the Titans, then that is a referendum on just how bad the Titans might be, which, we don't know yet.
Maybe they are.
We just don't know.
Maybe they are.
Tomorrow we're going to be live at Bridgestone Arena because the game that was supposed to be in Tampa tomorrow has been moved to Nashville for obvious reasons. This is going to be our first. I know you were there Monday, but, the Stillman & Company show is not on the air. So it'll be our first trip out to Bridgestone Arena for the season. It means that hockey season is here, which coincides with the weather as it is getting nice and cool. So they play Thursday and Friday, and then I think right after the game Friday, they fly right to Switzerland, and then we will not see them for a long, long time, like the Elton John song. So be excited about that. Meanwhile, though, the Predators are getting their season started with the preview show. Hal Gill, Pete Weber, Max Hers, they are all coming up next. David Poyle, John Hines will join for the next 2 hours. It's the Preds season preview show. And that's the way it is. Stillman & Company right here, 102.